We are finally getting to it. We are finally going to talk about me taking my ex-husband to court. And it's not the kind of court you're probably thinking about. Just trust me, trust the process. So we left off part 3. We saw a lot of privacy issues, safety concerns, lots of things where I finally started putting my foot down, calling him out, refusing to allow him to gaslight me, manipulate me, refusing to allow him into my home, him just letting himself into my home. But we also see him finally getting the message that I'm not coming back. It's not happening. That is an unrealistic idea. That ship has been sailed for a while. And once he realizes that, he retains an attorney and starts with weird texts about, well, that agreement, you kind of like coerced me into it. I don't even know what was in it. I didn't even see it. Like weird, like, what are you talking about? So that's where we left off, with me just getting an email from his attorney that he retained. And I'm going to read the exact email/letter, because I got an email and a letter. I'm going to read it. Before we get started, I just want to emphasize, again, as I do for every video, I so appreciate you all letting me tell my story. You don't know what it means to me. It's a really validating process. But most importantly, even though, I know everyone's here watching for different reasons, whether you just love the drama, or you are going through something similar, or you want to help someone that you know is going through something similar. My big why, there's always going to be people that are like, oh, the drama, oh, she's being petty. But like, the most validating thing for me is getting those messages from other people saying that my story has helped them identify issues in their situations, or learn from it, know what to look for, and that's so important to me. So I want to be so clear that there's nothing, I don't want anyone targeted, I don't want anyone harassed. The point is not for that. The point is advocacy, sharing my story. This is so therapeutic for me. It's therapeutic for other people going through similar things. So I just definitely want to keep the why there, and just make that so clear in every video that I post about this, that that is the why, that's the intention, that's the goal. So just wanted to put that in there really fast. A lot of the wording in a lot of these things that we're going to see in this part is very important, and will matter later on. So let me pull that up. Dear Miss Rogers, and I'm going to keep their names out for now. I represent your husband in connection with matters related to your separation and resolution of final issues stemming from your marriage. I understand that you are not currently represented by legal counsel. If that is incorrect and you are working with an attorney, I ask you please forward this letter to your attorney and ask them to contact me directly. It has come to our attention that you recently communicated your intent to make a unilateral change involving one of your investment accounts. I'm writing to formally request that you refrain from making any changes, either directly or through a third party, to any asset held individually by you, jointly with or in the name of a business. This includes investment accounts, brokerage holdings, business interests, and real or personal property. No such action shall be taken until both you and have had the opportunity to exchange financial documentation and pursue a mediated resolution of all equitable distribution matters in good faith. Additionally, we request that you immediately cease and desist from posting, sharing, or referencing any content on TikTok, YouTube, or any social media platform that relates in any way to your separation from or the legal matters stemming from it. Public commentary, direct or indirect, about your marriage or this process threatens to undermine the opportunity for a respectful and confidential resolution and could potentially give rise to legal claims if the content is found to be defamatory, harassing, or harmful. As you know, a document titled Separation Agreement was signed and notarized on or about August 26, 2024. However, it is your ex-husband's position that this document is not legally enforceable. While we will not outline our full legal basis at this time, we believe that both the circumstances surrounding the execution of the document and the substantive inequity of its terms raise serious concerns. As a result, it does not recognize that the document validly waives or resolves claims for equitable distribution, spousal support, or other marital rights. Those claims remain open and will be preserved unless and until a fair and enforceable agreement is reached. To move forward in resolving these matters, we are proposing a voluntary exchange of documents. Attached as Exhibit A is a list of financial documents that we are requesting from you by this date. If you wish to proceed toward a resolution without the need for formal litigation, please send these materials to my office. If there are specific documents you would like to receive from Please let us know and I will coordinate his response so that both of you can exchange records on the same date. Please treat this letter as a formal notice of your obligation to preserve any and all data, documents, and communications that may be relevant to the legal issues between you and your ex-husband. This includes both physical and electronic records. You are now under a duty to avoid any deletion, destruction, or alteration of potentially relevant evidence, including emails, text messages, social media content, and financial records. We request that you preserve, among other things, all cell phone and computers you use or control, all emails, messages, notes, or journals relating to your ex or your finances, all TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and other social media posts or communications relating to your marriage or separation, all files stored on devices or cloud platforms, all brand, influencer, or sponsored content contracts or correspondence, any statements or documents regarding income, assets, or business activities, and any media, photos, videos, tags, or posts received relating to your marriage or divorce. You are expected to avoid deleting, defragmenting, reformatting, or otherwise altering electronic files, and to help create backup copies of potentially relevant digital content in devices, including mobile phones and laptops. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. If you have any questions you would like to discuss settlement, please do not hesitate to contact me or my co-counsel. We're not going to tell you why this document isn't enforceable. We're just saying it's unenforceable, so please give us all of your documentation and let us give him some of your stuff. No, thank you. What? So, I call a friend who I know is going through a divorce, and I just say, hey, you said you were very happy with your attorney in their team. Do you recommend them? Yeah? Okay, cool. Can I have their contact information? Because I guess I need an attorney now. And I met with this attorney. We had a meeting. She looked at all the documents. She looked at the separation agreement, and she was like, oh, no, girl, you're good. Like, he's an attorney. He signed this. He notarized this. Like, you guys notarized this. That's important. Like, that she can't just say, oh, I didn't sign it. She signed for me. I didn't know what it was. Like, no, when you go to a notary, they ask, hey, did you read through this? Yes, they read through with you a lot of the times, and they make you show the ID, your ID, so that they can confirm, yes, this is that person who is signing. Like, it's all very official. And we also found that the place that we notarized it also had us on security cam. They are signing, looking through all the documents, and they said that they were going to save that footage if we needed to, and they were just going to keep it to the side for a while, just in case. Because it shows us there reading through the documents and signing every page, all the things, you know? My attorney says your agreement is binding, you're good, don't worry about it. Worst case scenario, she says it's a little vague about the time frame of when house deed names and things like that needed to be swapped over. Like, it didn't really have a timeline laid out. So she said worst case scenario, we would have to go to court and have a judge basically assign a timeline if he was being difficult about it. But that was like worst case scenario. We were good. And I said, okay, sounds good, cool. I've heard, retained, I like this, I feel good, I feel confident. And like, this was March, right? So by March, my ex and I both have our own attorneys. My attorney let me know very confidently, we're good, we're solid, you have nothing to worry about. That they were gonna handle all of the correspondence themselves, so just be chill. And I said, okay, sounds good. The thing is though, after I retained that firm, you know, obviously on each case, just like my ex had two attorneys, like a counsel and a co-counsel, or two co-counsels, I had the same thing. And the person who kept responding to my emails, like even if I emailed them directly, wasn't the person that I met with and had my consultation with, which is fine, it's not the end of the world, but we had very different ideas on the best ways to proceed forwards with this case, if that makes sense. So me, hi Miss Girly, you coming up? Hi baby. Oh my goodness, I love you. My goodness, we're just going into how you're the most expensive cat in the entire world. I know. Anyways, I was very on board with the strategy that me and my attorney, the one that I did my consultation with, we were on the same page. Like, this is our plan, this is what we want, this is what we're going for. Her co-counsel was not on board with this is the best way forward. She was very much like, oh, well, you know, North Carolina, the rule is equitable distribution and this isn't equitable. And I'm like, why do you care? You're my attorney, you're not Avery's attorney. Like, we purposefully did it that way because that's what we wanted. Like, literally, a North Carolina government on instructions for divorce says, like, if equitable distribution is not what's right for your family, make a separation agreement and line out what is right for your family. That's what we did. So, like, why are you advocating against me keeping my stuff? Like, you're my attorney. I didn't like it. I was not a fan. And even when I would email directly the other lawyer, I would get she would respond, like the one that didn't have the same goal. I don't even know. And I told her, I have a lot of emails of me saying, like, whose attorney are you? Mine or his? I don't understand why you're pushing for this. And she's like, well, it could go to litigation. Who cares? Why does that matter? Why is that a problem? And she said to me that she doesn't like going to litigation because then she has no control and it's all up in the air. It's all based on, what a judge thinks, and that can be inconsistent and unpredictable. And that's just not like how she likes to do things. And I said, that's fine. And that's a valid opinion to have. But I'm not interested in giving up so much of my assets because you're worried about a judge being unpredictable. Like, if I'm going to believe in the system, I have to believe in the system. So I believe that an attorney who is signing and notarizing an agreement is going to be held to that agreement. I'm not going to give up what I've worked for, everything that I've built up for the last 5-6 years, because you're worried that the law, which is on my side, might be a little fickle that day. Like, we don't know why. That's a risk I'm willing to take. And I stood by this all summer, right? And I say all summer because, like, this was a very sporadic process. I would check in pretty often about, hey, have we heard anything from them yet? Hey, have we heard anything? And I can probably count on my hands how many times we all corresponded, like, with my ex's team. Like, it was very sporadic. It was like, we decided to send an email, and then I wouldn't hear back from my attorneys for weeks, like, with a response from them, like, in general. Not like, oh, I haven't heard from my attorneys in weeks. Like, we wouldn't get a response back for a long time, and then it would take us a while to get back to them. It was a very long, drawn-out process. I understand people say that, like, oh, the government works slow and law moves slow, but I also am of the opinion, and this is, like, in regards to this, I think that we live in a day and age where, like, the internet and electronics have made things so accessible so quickly. Even though I understand real life is not always that accessible and that attainable, I do think that other aspects of life, like the government, like law, things like that, do need to find a way to keep up a little bit better. But anyways, we kept getting these weird, crazy offers that I was not willing to compromise on, of like, hey, we can just call this a day. Here's a compromise. What do you mean a compromise? And it was like, give me this large sum of $150,000, and then, if you can't get the house deed name transferred over, you sell it, and then give me $150,000 from the sale of that. Like, no, what? Why are you? No, you are not entitled to the house that only I put money towards. What? No. Why is that a compromise? That's not a compromise. Oh, and give me Vixie. No, you're not going nowhere, baby girl. We were not coming to an agreement. We were not coming to a compromise. So they said, okay, well, we're going to have to schedule mediation. And I said, sure, that's fine. When's mediation? And they said, October. I said, what? It's like June or July. Yeah, that's just how long it takes. Oh, okay. This is what I mean by things like needing to catch up a little bit, like creating a system or ways for it to not be that long. Like, that's crazy, right? And throughout this entire time, like, I have not spoken to my ex, not even a little bit. So I'm just trying to live my life. I'm trying to find ways to get back into getting work done. Because remember, like, through this whole year, you guys know, there's a lot of time periods where I'm just like not posting. I'm just feeling overwhelmed and drained and kind of downward spiraling a lot. And so I just try to do what I can to live life until October and figure it out and just do what I can to survive. And leading up to our October mediation, I think end of September, I'll look up the exact date. My phone is there. I usually read the screenshots off of my phone when I do these things, but I can't really get up at this moment in time because for those that are just listening, I have a fluff, a Miss Girly Girly, if you will, and she's so comfortable. So I'm just gonna have to read it all from my computer, and that's fine. That's okay. Our mediation's supposed to be October 9th. About a month beforehand, again, I have not spoken to this man since he told me that he was getting a lawyer. And I was like, okay, cool, give me access to my utilities. And he just never responded, never ended up getting access to those utilities. Not until this whole process ended up finishing. Crazy. I know, crazy. Like every month I'm like, is my water still gonna be on? Don't know. Because remember, y'all, legally, he had access to my utilities and I couldn't just add myself to the utilities. It doesn't work that way because I don't know if I clarified this beforehand, so I'll just re-clarify it now. I don't know if y'all know this, but originally when we moved into this house, I had just started social media a year beforehand, and it was going very well. I was very fortunate, very fortunate. In order to get a loan for the house, I had to have 2 years of tax returns. I didn't have 2 years of tax returns. And they had to be, like, it can't be you have a year from social media and you have a year from teaching. No, they have to be in the same field. So, like, if I had 2 years from teaching, that would be fine. But I didn't have a tax return for that year when we moved in for teaching. I was doing social media full time. So I was not allowed to go on the loan for this house. But my ex at the time, there was no way he would qualify himself. So we had to get a co-signer, just in name, and apparently it's like very common, and that ended up being his father. So who's on the loan for this house? Those two, not me. So I can't call the utilities and be like, okay, yeah, add me. I'm not even on the loan. So that's the problem. That was the issue. Now I was on the deed, but I needed like permission from them, who were originally from him, who was the one who was on the utilities account, to add me to the utility stuff. Well, he wasn't giving that. So that's why that was the biggest issue with the houses, is that I'm on the deed, the three of us are on the deed, the two of them are on the loan. Townhouse is different. Townhouse is just me and my ex. So September 7th is the first time we had spoken since that blow up in March. Hey, Beck. A few things. My understanding is we need to work together to split smaller personal assets best we can, as it's not done for us. I have a list and spreadsheet starting to keep track. If you have some free time, I'm happy to bring your stuff and start grabbing things from the house. I also have some mail for you, but it's mostly Delta and promotional, and your water bill's been consistently high the last couple months, so you may want to check and make sure there isn't a leak or something running, but hope you've been healthy and doing well. I said thank you for your concern on the water bill. Nothing's leaking. My friend, one of my best friends, and her husband had some issues with the house they bought. They needed a place to stay for a few months. They've been staying here in the guest room. As for the rest of your text, I'm honestly at a loss for words. The last time we spoke, you told me that my cats would die early because I was that terrible. And since then, I've come up with so many lies to your attorneys about additional bank accounts that I probably have and hidden revenue that they need access to that doesn't exist. And now you want me to just chat with you about splitting things with you? Really? Because yes, I did forget to mention that a lot of the offers coming in over the summer was, hey, these things are so high because we're told you have all these extra secret bank accounts somewhere that you're not telling us about. What? I've had the same bank account since I was like 13. My dad opened it for me to like give me a credit card to start racking up some credit of like buying gum once a month or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I still have that bank account. Okay. Secret bank account, Vix. Is that how I fund your treat addiction? He says, glad you could help them. And that's not what happened with any of that, Beck. I would never want anything to happen to our cats or you. I've clearly expressed that many times. I've also never said you were terrible unless there was anger and it was in the heat of the moment. And even then, I would have apologized if that were the case. I do think it would be best to split the assets that we can agree on and document them unless you're refusing to do so amicably. I said, you can't have it both ways. You either want attorneys to handle things or you don't. I was perfectly fine dealing with our assets together. I put a bunch of stuff in the garage for you that you never even came to get after the blow up. You then hired an attorney for matters already settled in our notarized agreement. You don't get to throw horrible insults and accusations at people, force them to fork out tons of money for legal fees, lie to the attorneys, and then act like nothing happened. He said that's not correct, nor a fair way to phrase it. The attorneys are to protect both of us. We should have had one from the beginning like I requested and insisted upon a dozen times or more. The final agreement was very different than what we actually discussed, and I wasn't given a chance to even read it or given a copy. I was also in a debilitating mental state, and you were using your therapist in confidential conversations to convince me it was in my best interest and to forego legal help, and you said you were going to make changes that didn't happen, as evidenced by the several times we attempted to correct things after that. Also vividly recall you saying you would treat me fairly, split things evenly, and the whole goal of a paper copy was to rip it up after we worked things out. But that's all besides the point. The attorneys were actually the ones that suggested we handle the smaller assets ourselves, as the mediation likely wouldn't do that. Now, I don't have that in writing from your attorney, just my understanding of what was discussed between our attorneys, but I'm just trying to be nice and follow instructions. It's important to note that my attorney has no recollection of what he's talking about. She said, we didn't discuss that at all. He just made that up. And I'll post that email from her on the screen too. He continued on, I didn't throw horrible insults and accusations at anyone. Quite the opposite, in that I regularly praise and still talk you up to everyone as evidenced by our texts. Nor did it happen like you're explaining. I'm also not acting like nothing happened. This is a serious matter, and I'm trying to handle it the best that I can, as I was advised to do. And regardless of how much you hate me, bash me, or talk about me online for things that aren't the whole truth and are way out of context, I care about you, Rebecca. I'm sorry we're going through this and that I wasn't mature or experienced enough to handle things better from the start. We were both suffering mentally, emotionally, and physically. The whole situation was terrible, and I wish it turned out so much differently, as we were such good friends, and I truly believe we had such a strong bond. For the longest time, it really felt like us against the world, and I had so much fun and fond memories with you. So I'd love nothing more than to work through this as fairly as friends and move on amicably, leaving the past behind us. I think we both deserve that. I said, doofus. Again, remember, I didn't actually say that to him. I'm just not saying his name. And for clarification, because I keep getting a lot of, just side note, I keep getting a lot of very concerned, helpful, wonderful human beings that are like, oh my gosh, you forgot to beep out his name. That's okay. It's okay. I promise. I am doing it out of the kindness of my heart. There is nothing legally wrong with me accidentally slipping his first name a couple times. Don't worry about it, I promise. I'm just doing this out of the kindness of my heart. Doofus, you are more than welcome to get an attorney for yourself. You are an attorney. You could have not signed or notarized anything until you got one if that's what you really wanted. You didn't. The final agreement was not only the exact same, but there's literally video footage of us reading it again at the bank before we notarized it. The bank has already pulled the footage of us going through and reading it together in case I need it for legal reasons. You were not in a debilitating state. You're a licensed attorney and signed your name to a document. You were actively coaching pickleball and working and also applying for other jobs. I didn't convince you of anything. You made promises to me, and I said we could put that in writing. You wanted to talk about us, and I said I wouldn't hear you out until those promises were in writing, because in the moment, you went back on those promises if I didn't tell you what you wanted to hear. You agreed that you would do that. We put the promises in writing. I did not use my therapist to convince you of anything. I don't know what you mean by that or by confidential conversations. We literally never said anything about splitting everything evenly. You said you didn't want to take what I worked so hard for. So we decided we would take away what we put in towards the marriage, and we laid out the assets accordingly. Now, did you voice that you wanted us to keep trying? And we discussed that if it was successful, we would rip up the agreement in the sense that we would be getting back together and wouldn't need our separation agreement? Yes, but that had nothing to do with the assets. They were written out the way they were written out for a reason. My attorney blatantly told me that you weren't willing to make any comments or counterpoints to anything we sent last time. That's it. Not only are there texts of your insults after insults, but I literally have that phone call recorded of you insisting that because I allowed Ben to put a table together for me in January, that all your family can't stop talking about how I'm cheating. How my dad must be so sad because you helped him grill so much, and now you can't. And you feel so bad for my dad that I'm his daughter because I can't do anything for myself. And how you're so glad you gave me an eating disorder because according to you, I deserved it. So excuse me if your "I care about you" falls on deaf ears while you're forcing me to pay tens of thousands of dollars with lies to our attorneys about hidden revenue streams and coming up with stories to our mutual friends and whoever else will listen. I haven't said anything about you online because I'm trying to offer you that NDA, but trust me, if you don't want it, I won't hesitate to show you all the receipts. So he responded, "First, I want to say I really appreciate you talking with me back. I don't want this to seem dismissive as I do truly value you and what you have to say, but arguing isn't productive for either of us. Isolated incidents out of context aren't even half the truth, and we're not going to agree. My main goal was to work with you to get the small things settled best we can because it was suggested that that was the best course of action to save time and money. It's okay if you're not willing to do that or want to check with your attorney first. Thanks either way." I said, "You claiming something is an isolated incident doesn't make it okay. There's no context in which I'm glad I gave you an eating disorder is okay. There is no context in which lying is okay. There's no context in which gaslighting me is okay. There's no context in which saying it's funny when I cry or that I was overweight is okay. There's no context in which you writing letters explaining why you physically harmed me is okay. And there's no context that saying my cat's lifespans will shorten simply by living with me is okay. It's just not okay. No matter if you try to explain it away or not, or call it isolated or out of context, none of it's okay." And just also to clarify, I don't think this conversation is going to be much longer, so just bear with me. He said, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but that's all just very out of context and not the whole truth. I have not acted in any way that was malicious or intentionally harmful to you, regardless of what was being analyzed through therapy or other similar discussions when we were working through personal matters, especially under stressful circumstances. Our regular interactions evidence that I care for you greatly and was doing everything in my power to help you or resolve issues to try and make us both happier, even if I made mistakes. I was even trying to bring you your favorite foods and offered to cook specific meals to assist with any eating specifications until you explained that it was not helpful. Plus, we were together for 10 years, Beth. I don't need to defend myself as you know my character and the type of person I am. I do apologize for any hardships we face and do wish we were both more mature and better at communicating, as I do truly think we had a great bond and friendship for so long. That said, I'm happy to discuss or clarify anything personal between us in a separate in-person conversation, as texting this much isn't helpful and it just confuses things. I'd really like to focus on the matter being discussed. Right now, this text is requesting to split uncontested assets and move forward amicably. I would prefer to do so as friends and put all bygones behind us so we can move on and heal without feeling we need to act against each other. But I understand if that's not possible for you, and I'm open to other suggestions. If you're refusing to split personal assets at this time, I just need you to confirm so I can plan accordingly. Thank you. I said, no amount of context makes any of those things okay, and there's not a whole truth issue, as you said those things, point blank. No context changes that it's unacceptable to speak to someone like that, period. You literally broke into my house, which I can still press charges for if I want, I'm sure. It's literally on video, you telling your father you came here because you knew I was out of town. There's a criminal statute saying that when you're separated, you cannot come here unless I give explicit permission, and the statute of limitations is 3 years. You've come up with lies about not seeing documents and only getting the signing pages. But there's literally video footage from the bank of us not only having all the papers, but us clearly reading through them one last time. Just because you claim something happened differently does not negate the truth or the evidence that backs it up. You straight up told me you were trying to make me feel like I had to compete for your attention with other women, and you went out of your way to do that. Do not feed me some BS about you not having malicious intent. We did not consistently discuss you cooking for me or bringing me food. You one time kept insisting you could come over and bring me food, and I told you that you being here all the time was not something that I wanted. In fact, numerous text conversations showed that I provided you food over and over and over, and you asked to come pick up factors. Sorry, but once again, the textual evidence shows that you are not being truthful, and just because you keep telling yourself otherwise does not make it so. I'm not allowing you to just twist my reality anymore. Once again, you don't get to have things go both ways. You either want attorneys to handle things or you don't. My attorney says she has no idea what you're talking about, that she and your attorney never discussed us talking amongst ourselves, and it's just blatantly incorrect that she would have encouraged your attorney to have you speak with me or even contact me. So why don't you just tell me exactly what you're wanting and looking for, and why you're all of a sudden deciding to text me when our attorneys have not had that conversation? He said, Rebecca, we were together for 10 years, and we both made plenty of mistakes. There were issues and plenty of pain on both sides. We're human. I'm not saying that any kind of hurt is okay from either side, but contrary to what's regularly suggested, neither of us were trying to harm the other. In fact, my understanding is that we deeply cared for each other and both loved each other, which is why everything hurt us so much. It's clear we were young when we started with a lot of maturing to do, and if you want to discuss more, I'm happy to do so in person. I never spoke to what they specifically discussed, nor am I trying to have it anyway. I would greatly appreciate a straight answer instead of some accusatory, loaded response, which is borderline threatening every time for no reason. I have no ulterior motives. My understanding from what my attorney said was that they had a discussion in July in which splitting uncontested assets was a topic. My attorneys and I had a follow-up conversation where I was told it would be best to reach out closer to mediation to settle uncontested assets if you were amenable, because a personal assets moderator is very expensive. There are plenty of things that are not contested, and smaller assets are generally not a main topic of discussion in mediation if they're even brought up at all. I don't understand why hostility is your first and genuinely only response. I think of you often and want nothing but wonderful things for you. And anyways, I've tried my absolute best to support your goals and dreams, but the answer here is way more simple than you're making it. If you want to work together to split things, potentially save a lot of time and money, then I'm happy to do so with minimal contact and discussion if necessary. And if not, or if your attorney says it's not a good idea, just say no and that you're not comfortable with it. My response is, weird. I don't usually use federal crime in mistakes synonymously, nor do I use abuse synonymously with mistakes either. I never tried to harm you, but you certainly have gone out of your way to harm me numerous times. You said so yourself. That's why we created the agreement in the first place, because you agreed when things don't go your way, you try to hurt me to feel in control. If you want to talk in person, sure, but it will not be here. You lost the privilege of ever setting foot in this house. I worked with you constantly, allowed you into my home to come see the cats because I promised you I would, and you abused that privilege. You took advantage. You broke in and you stole things. You hid utensils in your closet. You lost the privilege of seeing these cats ever again. Anything you want to discuss in person will have to be elsewhere, and any items you come to pick up from my house will be left on the driveway for you. It is insane for you to have put me through everything that you have and then complain that there's no reason for me to distrust you or dislike interacting with you. You are more than welcome to tell me exactly what you would like. Again, I've literally been setting things aside from you from the beginning until you treated me like a storage unit and then just never came to get what's been sitting in my garage for months to the point that I can't use my own garage. You don't understand why I'm hostile towards someone who caused so much anguish in my life that my hair has been falling out. You don't understand why I don't share warm and happy feelings when you contact me after you gave me an eating disorder. You don't understand why my default with you is accusatory and disrespectful when it has been lie after lie after lie after lie. This is difficult for you to understand? You did nothing but take advantage of me and take me for granted when we were together. Yeah, we spent 10 years together. That's a lot of abusive situations, a lot of gaslighting, and a lot of unacceptable behavior. The fact that you yourself wrote me letters apologizing for the times you took it too far physically and you still don't get it, that's concerning. I know you think you can claim any incident is isolated and water under the bridge, but that's not how regular people operate. The abuse builds and adds and doesn't just disappear because you want something now. He just said, sure, let's meet and talk back because clearly something isn't clicking and I think it honestly could be productive. And I said, when and where? And he said, I'm flexible. I said, okay, well, I have to go run some errands today. Why not? Since I'll already be out, we can meet tonight. He said, okay, so if you're requesting a neutral location, let's do that. He gave me a place that's kind of in the middle of both of our places, and he said 5:30 tonight, and I said, okay. So we met, and I have our whole thing interacted. It is multiple hours long. I'm not going to play it right now. I am going to post it. Probably not immediately, because when I posted the call in part 3 last time, it was a little bit chaotic. So I'll probably do it like maybe this weekend or something like that. But I will list out some highlights. I will give some summaries. I will list out some highlights. And if you would like to listen to the whole thing and see that is absolutely fine. That is okay. It's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I'll list out some of the best points from this call. So first and foremost, my ex insisted that when I went on 8 rounds of antibiotics before from the whole water's the universal solvent thing, for new friends, it was revealed that for a year, my ex was only cleaning the house with water, no chemicals, no Clorox, nothing, because water's the universal solvent and he doesn't need harmful chemicals to get the job done. And I was on so many rounds of antibiotics that year, I couldn't figure out why I was so ill. And then I found out why I was so ill. He's letting me know that he knows that that whole situation was not why I was getting sick, because he got a hold of my medical records, and it didn't say that he was the cause of me being ill. And when I questioned, what are you talking about? First of all, how did you get a hold of my medical records? What? I don't understand how that's legal or possible. But second, what did you think it was gonna say? Cause of illness, husband? When I questioned him on this, his pushback was, well, actually what I did is I went through your mail and I found a medical bill that I was trying to be helpful with and pay. And it didn't say anywhere on the medical bill that I got you sick. Correct. Yes. 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 Okay. Anyways, you guys have probably heard that clip of me saying, of the recording that I posted of him saying, I thought I was being flirty. There was no malice involved, so it can't be counted as abuse. That was from this meeting, correct? Well, there was no intention of malice. I wouldn't try to cause you harm, so it can't be considered abuse. I might have been too much physically, but it wasn't abuse because I didn't have ill will. Yeah, that's from this conversation. Then he tried to insist that he was allowed to break into my house because his father is also on the deed, and even though he doesn't live here anymore, his dad is also on the deed, so his dad gave him permission to come in. That's not how that works, my guy. He admitted to, when I was out of town, taking my car and driving it around and damaging the paint on it. He said that his attorneys weren't even supposed to send over some of the compromises and some of the offers, that they weren't supposed to be doing all that, but they did. He admitted that he lost lots of money, tens of thousands of dollars. My bad. He said that he knows he signed our separation agreement and got it notarized, but lots of people have said, but lots of professionals say he's not a great lawyer, and not great at law stuff, so it shouldn't count. Then he again said, you kicked me out with only $2,000 to my name, and then he admitted that he told me he had more money than he really did. He was just embarrassed, but it's my fault for not knowing he wasn't lying and that he really had no money. And so the reality was I kicked him out with no money. Then he says that he can't afford to take over his mortgage for the townhouse. Because remember, I'm still at this point, still in October, or still in September when we're meeting, still paying both of our mortgages. Yes. And he's saying that he can't take over his mortgage and he can't actually afford to stay in. But he refuses to sell the townhouse and leave because he really just wants me back. And then he says that he actually can afford the townhouse, but isn't changing anything over because his attorneys told him not to. And then he says that he can't go and live with his dad and go back home because his dad's house is disgusting, which agree. And then he reminds me that technically on paper, I adopted Vixie and he adopted Milo. And so if I don't give him Vixie, he's going to threatened to pull Milo, which is also not how that works. It's been 8 years at this point. Our cats are 8 years old. 90% of ownership with cats is possession anyways. I've had them myself for a long time at this point. Over a year, really. Because remember, we separated in May of 2024, and this is now September of 2025. And in North Carolina, you have to wait a year and a day until you file. And that passed. And so, we got attorneys in March, and May passed, but because we had this dispute about the assets, we couldn't file yet. He tried to say that I brought a different separation to the bank, and it wasn't the original one, and he didn't read it, so that was me tricking him. And then I told him, there's video footage of us reading it, and he goes, that's sneaky. Is it? Okay. He admitted that he went to live with my parents after we separated because he was too embarrassed to tell his loved ones what was happening, and that he was just hoping that we could all just sweep it under the rug and pretend like it never happened and no one in his life would have to know everything that happened. He said that him not wanting to go to his dad's or his friends is the equivalent of him having no options. Therefore, I manipulated the situation since he had no options, and it counts as coercion, and that is how he was coerced into signing the separation document. Because he didn't want to be separated from me, but I forced him to be, and then I kicked him out and wouldn't let him stay in the big house with my studio that I used to pay for said house. And since he didn't want to go back home and ask for help, it counts as me manipulating and coercing him into signing the separation agreement. Oh, and then he said the reason he had no money when we separated was because there was a billings issue with the pickleball company that he was with, and that they were messing up their payroll stuff, and then they fixed it later in the month and he got back pay. And then I said, okay, so then what's the issue of you not having money because you weren't paying bills, you weren't paying rent, and then you got all the money back? And he didn't, I don't think he had an answer for that. And then he admits that because he had no options, he should have stayed in this house and I should have gone to my mom's, but that he would still force me to keep paying for this house because he couldn't afford it. And if I refused, then he would just sell the house so that he would then have money. And the last few is that he tries to say that my studio and my camera equipment is all expensive. So that means that because I have like my studio and camera equipment and things like that, that means he's entitled to more of my assets to make it equal. And then we finish with a great big bang of he really just wants to renegotiate the contracts and stuff so that he feels like he didn't just waste 10 years of his life. Those are the good highlights. That's not everything. It's not, but it's some good highlights. Oh, actually, you know what? Another one. Sorry, I want to add this specifically because it makes me happy. It's a borderline like I told you so. Because as you probably recall from earlier parts, I said that we were having some issues with friends who didn't believe me. And a really good nugget is when my ex says that the reason he had his lawyers accuse me of having extra bank accounts is because our mutual friend, and he like name drops the specific one. Yeah, he told me straight up that you have been bragging on Discord about making 30 grand a month. Remember, I don't make that. I don't. And I said, that's weird because even though I am fortunate with social media, never in a million years would I brag about that to people in general. Like that's like a really horrible thing to do, especially like in this economy. That would be mean. Even with the fortunate circumstances that I am in, with what I do make, I would never. That's disgusting. Nor do I ever talk about finances with these people. Then later he says, I actually lied. It wasn't that guy. It was these other guys, their wives. What? But the big main overall idea and concept from this meeting, regardless of the highlights that are just comedic relief at this point, like we laugh so we don't cry kind of comedic relief, is that he says he doesn't even want to go to mediation, that he's not trying to take everything from me, that he's broke because he had some medical stuff going on. I'm not going to give details. That's just not... Don't need to know, that's his business. And he's fine now, but he's broke, and so he just needs help getting on his feet. And I said, my guy, I've barely worked in the last year and a half at this point. I don't have the money to give you at this point because I've been paying all of our bills on everything I've saved up. And then on these legal fees, like I don't have the money to give to you at this point. And he's, well, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware. I said, well, you didn't ask. Like, I don't, like, what? So I think he said that he genuinely believed if I and him and our legal teams just hopped on a Zoom call, that we could easily find a solution. We wouldn't even have to go to mediation, and it would all be fine. And we could all just like move on with each other and all find something where, you know, he's not taking everything from me, but he's still like able to pay bills and catch up from the things that he had to spend money on and all those things. And you would think I would learn by this point. I really believed him. I really believed him. And I went to my attorney and I was like, hey, this could all be solved by blah, 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 blah. And my attorney was like, that's naive. That's not going to happen. We'll send them another offer, but I don't think it's like that. That's naive. It's not going to work out like that. And I was like, just send it because he said. So they sent it, and lo and behold, our offer was rejected. And so we had to go to mediation. It was time to go to mediation. And I'll say, like I said earlier, you know, the correspondence between our attorneys, like there was a lot of time in between them. So like during this time period, I'm feeling optimistic, I'm feeling positive, and I'm like, hey, do you want this furniture? Do you want this? Do you want that? Come pick it up. It'll be on the driveway for you. And like, I'll put all these on the screen, you know, here's just, you know, here's the mini fridge that you wanted. Here are these things. Here are boxes for you. And I'm going to put some of these, I'm going to go over because it's important for later, okay? It's important for later. So in some of the boxes that I set out for some of him stuff, I mean, he had so many things just like in boxes, never unpacked. I didn't know what it all was. I didn't go through it all. I just set it all on the driveway. It is what it is. And he sent me a text that said, I'd prefer if things didn't sit in the sun or rain again or be left unattended, but if we can coordinate where I can get them and load simultaneously, that could work. But also, probably best you didn't leave firearms unsupervised outside the house, especially with the ammo in the same box. And to be honest, I didn't know that it was going to start sprinkling. I didn't look at the weather. I set it out. He was a little later than he said he was going to be. He said like around 5:30, and he didn't get there until 6:30, 6:45-ish. My bad. I didn't intend for it to start sprinkling by then. But I also had no idea what he was talking about, like guns and ammo. I thought I returned all of that already. I thought I returned that like a year ago at that point. I said, I didn't see any guns when I put the box of electronics and video games in the shelves out there. I didn't find the guns you said were still here. I didn't even get a chance to look for them yet. So I have no idea like what you're talking about in regards to guns were in the box. I said, I thought you were coming at 5:30 after work. That's why I put them out there then. If you told me what time, I could have put them out there later so they didn't just sit out there. And then he sent me a photo of like a little pistol in a box that was under a bunch of stuff. If that makes, so like it's in a big crate and stuff's just piled on top of each other, and it was in a box like under a bunch of stuff. And he said, it's a revolver, not a pistol, I'm sorry. This is a revolver, and that right there is the ammo. There were 2 guns in this box. And I said, oh my gosh, was that in a bigger box? And he said, the other couple that I'm missing are likely in the gun safe. And I said, I'm sorry, I truly didn't even realize that was there. I'm sorry, I did not mean to leave that unattended. It was just in one of the boxes that I put together months ago. It's been sitting in the garage. I didn't go back and go through them. I'm sorry. He said, that's fine then. I was just concerned it was drizzling and some of the papers got a little wet. I did come after work, but I had to pick the car up. I got there closer to 6:30 with traffic, and I said, do you not take the CRV to work? And that was just me being nosy, honestly. There was no reason for me to ask that. I'm just a nosy person. And he just said he was getting repairs done to it. Okay, sure, whatever. So he told me where he thought one of the remaining 2 firearms in the house were. And one was like it was on like a high shelf in a closet that like I don't even use because I can't reach that, because remember, I'm 5 exact. I don't use the high shelves in the closet. I can't get there. And I found one, and we discussed when he was gonna pick it up. And then while I was looking for some other stuff for him, I found the second one. And I said, I just found another very large gun. It was in a regular brown box, which is why I didn't recognize it. Maybe like that. So I guess these are the missing two. Phew, good deal. Do you want me to put these in the gun safe, or do you want to pick these up today in regards to the firearms? And he said he was going to come and get the guns. Good deal. I will put them right before you come and get them. And I will just sit there by the front door to make sure no one comes up. And this matters. This part matters. And up until like when our mediation is, hey, you said that you are having trouble affording this. Here's a place that's renting for less. Hey, I might have found a sublease for the townhouse. Like, I'm so confident that he meant what he said when he's like, I'm not trying to take everything from you. I'm just trying to blah, 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 and all the things, whatever. So we go to mediation. It is October 9th. And I'm so confident when I go in. Naively, I just am. And it's not, remember, I have the two attorneys, and it's not the one that I do the consultation with. It's the one who has different ideas than me and the other attorney. And they come in with my ex's first offer. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing any of this. Like, we have a separation agreement. It's notarized. I'm not doing anything else. Like, I'll make some minor adjustments, but I'm not doing all of this. And then, I'm gonna start crying. This woman looks at me and she said, you don't really have a choice. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, none of this is equitable distribution. And I was like, I don't care. Why do I care about that? And she's like, well, if you don't meet any of their demands, they're gonna file a suit and go for litigation. And I'm like, why do we care about that? Why do we care about that? And she said, well, your agreement's not binding. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, you don't have a very specific sentence that you need in this document. You just don't have it. And I said, why is this the first time I'm hearing that? What do you mean I don't have it? What's the sentence? And she said, you have your asset division, and that's fine, but you don't have anything that says in this subsides the need for equitable distribution. So you have your asset division, but you have nothing there in writing saying you don't have to pay him out for all of these things. What? And because you don't have that, everything has to be 50-50 equal. So you have nothing. She told me, she looked me in my face and she said, you are worse off and less protected with this agreement than you would be drafting an entire new one just on equitable distribution here with me today. Oh, okay. Again, why is this the first time anyone is saying this to me? No real answer. And so, I'm trying to think of, okay, what can I offer him to get him to leave my stuff alone? NDA? Nope. Doesn't want one at all. Wants one, sorry. He wants one for free. He's not interested in relinquishing any of his claims to any of my assets for it. None. You know what he is willing to do? Take the cat. And I don't trust that she'll be safe there or healthy there after what her last 8 years has been. Because for those, like, even the food that he had her on, she was so overweight and dehydrated and unhealthy, one of her kidneys died. Just in the last year since I found that out, she's lost 4 pounds. She's so healthy. She's so energetic. He even tried to say, well, if you keep her, I want another $100,000. And I said, what? Yeah, I remember one time you said that she was worth that much to you, so I would like that. First of all, I've never ever put a dollar amount on my cats. I would, what? They're priceless. But also, no. And then I remembered, and I know, God, sometimes I really hope any of his family is listening to this one. I remembered that when we got married, I was given the pearl set from his mom, who'd passed. And I was like, I will give you all the jewelry from your mother. Please leave my stuff alone. I worked so hard for this. He said, if you're willing to give, remember, this is his mother who is dead. His mom died. If you're willing to give that to me, sure, great. I'll take whatever you want to give to me. But I'm not willing to give up my claim to any of your stuff. So that's all my investments, my retirement, everything that I built up, just gone. And I just have never felt like that before in my whole life. Of everything that I'd been through with this situation, that was the most defeated and debilitated I've ever felt. And I was so angry and upset, and I just sat there, staring into the void. I just couldn't believe. And there were, of course, some other, like, smaller things that we went ahead and put that he asked for, that his workout power cage, he said a lawnmower and a leaf blower. And, like, that's literally all I wrote on the page. Lawnmower, leaf blower, workout mats, power cage, TV stand. Like, that's it. Like, that's not the whole list, but that's, like, how descriptive it was, which will matter. And, it was a dark day. It was a really dark day for me. He was very adamant. Like, I don't know if he genuinely thought that I cared about him so much that I wouldn't share what happened, or if he thought that he could manipulate a free NDA, which we will get to soon. But he clearly didn't think that this series would be happening, truly. That's why I posted a story on Instagram, and I said, you know what, someone didn't want an NDA, so get ready for content, because not only is it important, but, I gotta make back everything that he took, one way or another. Let's see what I can do to build. I built once, I guess I can build again. And so we had it set up that weekend I would have to go to the townhouse and pick up the last few things that I had at the townhouse, which really all I wanted was the bar stools that my dad and I built together years ago, built and painted and set up, and they were still at the townhouse. I didn't even know I had anything else over there. I didn't really have a bunch of stuff over there. We'll get to that. And then he was gonna set up a time sometime later in the month, and come get what was listed out on his list. So went home, just kind of stared at a wall for a couple days, and then it was time for me to go to the townhouse, and I went with my parents. And here's where a lot of specific details will matter, so I'll put these messages on the screen, obviously. October 10th, I sent him a message. I said my family will come by tomorrow to get things from the townhouse, and they will need some time to take apart the treadmill, because my mom had a treadmill in the guest room at the townhouse. Like, it was her treadmill, and she wanted that back. So that was something we needed to get for my mom's treadmill, my bar stools. It was very heavy treadmills. They were planning on, like, taking it apart and putting it in the car, so I'm just letting him know they're gonna need some time to disassemble that and things like that, to take it down the stairs. And he said, thanks for the heads up. Just let me know when. And the next day they said around noon. And he said, great, everything is in the garage. Driveway is open. And I said, the treadmill is in the garage? And he said, yep. He said, if they could also leave the extra keys to the CRV, they also might have a second garage door opener and front door key. And I said, I don't have anything for the CRV or the townhouse. And he said, well, your parents have the extra keys, because remember, it was their car. And your brother has the garage door opener, so please let them know, thanks. And I said, you are more than welcome to ask if they have them, not my issue. And he just thumbs up the message. And then I get to the garage, and there's boxes of BS. There's this pants press thing that my parents got him years ago that he always talked about how he hated and just took up space and didn't want. There was a box of just plastic wrap. Like, it literally looked like something that a mattress was wrapped in. Like that. There was classroom decorations that just needed to be thrown away. There was, like, a box of, like, shoes that my mom left, and then just, like, boxes of other miscellaneous things that, like, which sure, the box of my mom's shoes, whatever. But then there was, like, an old broken couch that has never belonged to me ever in my life that he wanted me to take. I don't know why. He just he wanted me to dispose of it, is what it was. There was also a futon that he asked my brother for a long time ago that was beyond broken, unrepairable, that he wanted me to take. I'm not taking that. That's not my problem. So I got there. What wasn't in the garage? My bar stools. So I texted him and I said, my bar stools are not there. And then he, oh, my bad. And he brought 3 out. And I said, 1 is missing. And he said, no, there were only 3. No, there were 4. I would know because I did them with my dad. I would know how many there are. Oh, sorry, it wasn't intentional. It was just hiding in a closet. Whatever. All I said was, all that matters is that I never have to see you again. So I sent that message. He comes outside and he brings the last bar stool and he just sits on it. And this man just starts talking to me, or talking at me, because I'm not listening. And I'm telling him, like, I don't want to talk to you. Literally, you just took everything that I have worked for a couple days ago. Like, I need you to get out of my face right now. And he's just insistent. Well, I got to give you some updates. I got to tell you these things. No, I don't care. I don't care. Get out of my face. Go away. You are literally sitting on my bar stool, keeping me from loading it into the car. Get out of my face. Go away. Get out of here. And he just talking and talking and talking. Rebecca, I need to tell you, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I don't care. And I just keep telling him, talk to the attorneys. Don't talk to me. Talk to the attorneys. Talk to the attorneys. You want our attorneys so badly? Talk to the attorneys. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. And he wouldn't listen, and he just keeps talking at me, and I'm about to crash out. Like, truly, truly about to crash out. And I pull out my phone, and I start recording. I'll play it for you. And I yell at him. I'm just warning you right now. I start yelling. I do. So I'm going to play that right now. I don't want anything to do with you. You took everything from me. You.
Hold on, wait a second. You're gonna record this?
That's fine. I'm already recording it.
Okay, good.
You are a horrible human being. You made me work 80 to 100 hours a week for years while you got to sit around and do bullshit nothing, and then you take everything I've ever worked for from me? Fuck you.
Okay.
I don't want to talk to you.
Okay.
My parents gave you that car for free. How dare you? How dare you?
Okay, now.
I don't want to talk to you.
Okay.
You don't get everything that you want. Do you not understand I'm going to the police station after this? I hope you rot in jail.
Becca, I need to tell you what's going on with the utilities.
I don't care. You can talk to my lawyer.
Okay. I'll just say that I have transferred everything as requested. Everything is going to go on October 20th. Yes, that's what they told me. You're welcome to switch it over at any time.
I already told you can tell all of this to my lawyer. I have nothing to say to you. I want nothing to do with you. I think you're a horrible human being.
Okay. I have already asked about the assumptions for both of the houses.
Get off of my bar stool so I can load them in the car, please.
I've already asked about both of the assumptions for the deeds.
I've already said I don't want to talk to you, and you can talk to my attorney.
I'm required to give you this information.
And you can give it to me through my attorney.
Okay.
I will be posting every recording I have of you. Today, I'm posting the recording of you letting me know that just because physically assaulting me, you didn't have malice. Oh, I'm recording it, don't worry. Well, just because I physically hurt you doesn't mean it's abuse because I didn't have ill intent. That's what you said to me. You physically assaulted me. You sexually assaulted me. You talked about it multiple times on a recording, and you wrote me letters about it, and that's what's getting posted today.
Now that I have your consent that you're going to talk back.
I don't want to talk to you.
You're the one that keeps initiating this.
No, I'm letting you know what's going to happen. I don't want to have a conversation.
Okay. I
want nothing to do with you.
I'm not going to belittle. I'm not going to demean. I'm not going to...
I want to belittle you.
Okay.
Because you've taken everything from me. I hate you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Do you know that the mediator even was talking about how much of a piece of you are?
Enough. Let's just take whatever.
You won't stop talking to me.
That's enough. Let's go do whatever we need to do.
I need the bar stools, Dad.
Okay. Which boss too?
I don't want your help. I don't want your help. Please, I don't want your help. I don't want you to do anything.
Put it down.
No one here wants your help.
Put it down.
Please stop. Please go inside.
Okay.
I hope you rot in jail. As you deserve to do.
Okay. I'll contact your lawyer with the information.
Great. Goodbye.
The separation agreement says. Okay. We'll talk through this.
No, we're not going to talk. I want to never speak to you again. I don't know what that is. Even as I'm telling him to go away, he finally gets off the bar stool to try and put it in the van himself. I'm like, I don't want your help. Go away. And he finally goes inside. And I had every intention of leaving there and going to the police and finally reporting Every single thing. The breaking into my house, the abuse, the breaking into my emails, all of it. I was so fed up and done, and I was ready to finally I needed justice for everything. I needed something to be done. I was so tired of him getting away with everything all the time. I was gonna leave right from there and go to the station until I got in the car and I received a text message from him. I just sent an email requesting to talk with the attorneys, but I'm gonna do the right thing, knowing that you're gonna use this message for its unintended purpose, just as I tried to do time and time again. I'm also sending a copy of the text to my attorney and several other people so that there's an accurate record for if it gets misconstrued publicly. So my intent is very clear. This is not a threat. I will do my best in every situation not to insult, belittle, or demean, and regardless of what you do, I still care deeply for you as a person, and I value the time we shared and the experiences we made. I have nothing but respect for you and wish you nothing but the best. My suggestion is to wait for the attorneys to talk before you go to the police or post more content. You do not know all the details of what you're walking into or the possible repercussions. And so you know this isn't selfish or self-preservation. Once the attorneys talk, go wild. Burn everything to the ground. I'm not trying to limit you or control anything you do. As someone who has always supported you to extremes, cared for you immensely, and was your best friend for half your life, think rationally and consider all the impacts. Then do what you need to do. And I get this text message and I'm thinking, what is he talking about? You don't know what you're walking into. What did he do? And I just start panicking, and I don't know what is happening. I don't know what he's planning on. I'm scared at this point, to be honest. And I respond and I say, you can request whatever you want. Defamation only works when it's untrue. So good luck with that. But if you don't care about taking everything that I worked for, fine. I don't care about the world knowing what a horrible, abusive person you are. Reap what you sow. And he said, the full truth always comes out eventually. I made peace with my demons and learned a lot of hard lessons, losing much of what mattered to me in the process, including the person that I cared most deeply for at the time and my family. I've also seen the wonders of communication, sincerity, and compassion, approaching situations with as much grace and understanding as I can. I've also been brought to tears by how many people have rallied behind me, including so many random strangers and people I barely know. I hope you become the queen of the world, Beck. Always, that's what I always truly wanted more than anything, and I gave up so much to support that. I'm truly only worried this path doesn't have the long-term effects you're expecting, but I wish you the best, whatever you choose. And I said, doofus. People rally behind you because they don't know the truth. You seem to think that just because you claim to not have bad intentions, that doesn't mean you didn't abuse me. You did. You abused me, you used me. I was literally your piggy bank for years while I was a workhorse. And then not only did you get the cushiest years of your life doing whatever you wanted, you then felt entitled to take everything I worked for and saved for also. F you. Rot in hell. I hope you rot in prison like you deserve, because that's what happens when you break the law. And then I went home and I reevaluated, and I actually read with a clear head what he was actually asking for, like a conversation with the attorneys. I didn't even know what that was. I sent another message and I said, to actually respond to this, not in the moment of you trying to force a conversation on me, my last words to you. You can request whatever you want, but my attorneys already gave me the go-ahead to blast all the proof I have of you to make back everything you took from me, which I intend to do. You wanted so badly to take everything I made for myself, and now you can watch me make it back, exposing you for what you put me through. You didn't want an NDA, so that's your choice. Just as you told me, karma is real. You abused me, you broke the law, and you will be suffering those consequences. You can send whatever copies of text you want to people, but you're correct, the truth is coming out. It just doesn't look very great for you. You will be held accountable for your actions, whether you want to be or not. Sorry the stories you came up with to everyone else won't line up to the voice and video recordings of reality, but that's on you. I left an abusive marriage, and you benefited from laws meant to protect stay-at-home moms with equitable distribution. I will get justice for what you've done to me and put me through. The audacity of you to tell me you care for me when you took everything that I worked for years as you sat on your butt and did nothing is insane. Do not insult me like that again. You deserve everything coming to you. I have hours of these recordings that I will be using both for social media and the police officers. If you don't care about taking everything I worked for, I don't care what consequences you will face once you're exposed. You don't get to use and abuse me and then bank on my love and affection to save you from your own consequences. Anyone who would steal everything I worked for has no place in my heart, life, or in my care. And then I go to bed. And I, over the weekend, start going through the box of things that I got, that he left out for me, especially the classroom decorations. Yeah, I took those. I'm like, I'm just going to throw most of this away. Something that was in the box of the classroom decorations that I even forgot I had was this little Mardi Gras bag. And I even remembered it as soon as I looked at it. I was like, oh my God, I forgot that when I was teaching, the French club heard that I was going to Mardi Gras one year because I have family that are in the troops, and they asked for like some little figurines and beads and decorations and all the things, and so like I brought it in a little memorabilia Mardi Gras bag, and when I left teaching, they gave it back, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot I had this. So I just open it up for nostalgic purposes, and there's a bottle of narcotics in there, with my ex-husband's name on it, a bottle of Oxy. And I stare at it, I'm like, what? Like my brain broke in that moment. Like I just stood there staring at it like, what is this? Because I had this bag on, the last time I saw it was when I left teaching. In what, 2021? 2022? I started October 21, I think, and I left the next year. 22, yeah. I had not seen this thing since 2022. This bottle is dated 2023. That would be when my ex got his wisdom teeth removed. That's not possible. And I was like, oh my God, is this what he meant by you don't know what you're walking into? Like, is he trying to threaten that if I go to the police, then he's gonna say that like I'm withholding and distributing narcotics or something? Like, I start panicking. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can't go to the police until I talk to my lawyers, because like now am I like gonna get in trouble because I have this here? These aren't mine. I'm in possession. Like what is this? Like I'm like really spiraling. I am stressed out. I am concerned, and I just start emailing my attorneys like, what is this? What is happening? I'm nervous, like I'm concerned. And I don't hear from my attorneys over the weekend, which makes sense. But when I do hear from her, it was, again, the same attorney that was there with me at mediation was, I don't think this is a big deal. I think it's fine. You're not going to get in trouble. It was probably just an honest mistake. And I said, should I call the police? Like, should I report this? No, don't worry about it. I think her exact words, I'll read it. I think trying to report that planted a prescription of controlled substances in your things will cause you more trouble than it's worth. It just causes unnecessary investigations into you as well. Why do I care about that? I've never done anything wrong. You also can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he planted the bottle. No one saw him do it, no camera showing him do this. It could easily be explained by a mistake. Or he could have used the bag or whatever it was at some other time and forget to pull it out. You're going through a separation and divorce. There are 2 residencies, so personal property is still being exchanged. The point is there's just too much doubt to prove anything, and your speculation isn't enough. Okay, whatever. Then I get another email from my attorney, and it was, hey Rebecca, just see below for comments from his attorney, your ex's attorney. It's my understanding that Rebecca texted him that there were missing bar stools from the garage, so he brought them out, and then she started confronting him and became very agitated and made physical and legal threats to him, and is now claiming that she was contacting law enforcement but didn't even recover many of her belongings. But then following that incident, Rebecca sent a strongly worded text message containing additional threats toward and his family. In those messages, she claimed that you, the attorney, authorized her conduct. I assume that this isn't accurate, as I doubt that you, a lawyer, would advise your client to take action that could expose her to potential criminal or domestic violence implications. Please remind her that she must refrain from threatening, harassing, or contacting him directly. What? What? Hold on. hold on. His attorney is contacting mine saying that I'm going up to him and threatening him and his family? That I am contacting him? And I tell my attorney, you're gonna correct this, right? Because here's the actual screenshots. Here's the video. I don't think my attorney actually sent that to his at all. I think she just completely ignored the sentiment completely, to be honest. Actually, I sent her 5 different emails responding to this and like asking for more information or giving her more information or making clarifying, like, here are the texts, here are the... No response. None. To this day, never got a response to this thread right here. So I am just feeling so utterly alone in the world. I no longer trust my attorneys. One, I never hear from at all. The other, I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening. I don't trust any of them. I feel just so utterly alone. And then I end up having company come over. It's actually Duckling and his brother and some of their friends come into town. And some of them are staying with me, which I was grateful for because it was actually the weekend that my ex was supposed to come get his stuff from my place. So I had witnesses there. I had not only recordings of me putting all of his stuff out there, but also witnesses that saw me put things out there and saw me go through the checklist and make sure it's all there, and they helped me move everything. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So leading up to the day that my ex was supposed to come and get things from my house, the last little bit of the physical assets, he reached out to me again. Actually, I did send him a text when I found the pill bottle, and I said, your little trick didn't work. I found the bottle. I already informed the attorneys. Like, didn't get a response. He reaches out to me Friday, October 17th. He's supposed to come get his things that weekend. And he said, I told the attorneys Tuesday as instructed, as they were supposed to pass this info along, but just to make sure, I'm gonna be there at your place tomorrow at noon with movers and an escort. Please move your car and any other property so the movers do not accidentally damage anything, and leave the driveway open for the U-Haul. I said, all of your stuff will be on the driveway. You can bring whoever, I don't care. I won't be coming outside. And he said, I'm gonna request you leave the items in the garage and open at noon, as we will try to arrive at that time. This is for safety reasons, as there are firearms and sensitive materials. What do you mean fire? I already gave you everything. I was informed that your attorney is out of the office and might not have received the most recent communications, but I'm forwarding a checklist via email, which I was instructed to create and file. These are items that I have proof that were in the marital home in your possession and have not been returned. Your attorney should have a copy with more detail. And I said, no, I will not be leaving the garage open. You have all your firearms. There are no safety issues regarding firearms sitting out. The checklist is on the contract that we just signed. That's the checklist I'm going by. Nothing more will be on the driveway for you. Just saying the words, I have proof, is not actual proof. I don't have these things that you're asking for. And my attorney was clear that all I'm obligated to give to you are the items that we listed in our contract from the other week. She's given me the green light. Your finagling and threats do not scare me. However, I would love to speak to the officer that you plan to bring, especially since I haven't had time to go to the station yet. Super convenient for me. He said, not a threat, just passing along information that I was instructed to give you. We would not even be talking, but the attorneys didn't get a chance to exchange all the information this week. There's still a 9mm pistol that was in your bedroom that has not been returned. It was in a case that looks like a small toolbox. I will send pictures of what it should be. I personally believe a gun safe and documentation with sensitive info should not be left unattended on the driveway. I respected you and your property, but you're free to proceed however you like. I'm also not sure that's how personal non-marital property works, but I'm no expert and you should discuss with your attorneys. I'm seeing the email was sent and received, and your attorney should also have a copy of the request sent from my attorney. Have a good night. And he sends me the photo of what he claims. Why would there be something in my bedroom? When were you in my bedroom? You come into my house again when I wasn't around? And he also sent me a list, and I have it. This checklist is to be completed on October 18th, 2025 at time of pickup to show the following items belonging to That guy, were requested as personal assets for recovery, and an effort was made to be retrieved by October 19th, 2025, the deadline listed in the separation agreement. All items will be marked with a check indicating the item was retrieved and satisfactory, or an X indicating the item was not retrieved but is no longer needed, or circle O indicating that the item is outstanding for retrieval and is still needed. Any items that were misplaced or damaged while in Rebecca's possession will be recorded as needed. A copy of this checklist will be left at your address, likely in the garage or with Rebecca. A copy will be retained by Doofus, and a copy will be given to the police escort for proof of record. All outstanding items will be returned or replaced by October 31st. So I'll go through all the items he has listed on here. Gun safe and additional weapons. Likely in gun safe, there is at least one 9mm pistol and a .308 rifle that is missing. Why was the rifle not included in the text? The rifle was not included in the text of the guns that are missing. Now there's an additional gun missing? Okay. These are registered in my father's name, and it goes without saying how serious these are. We are comparing the serial numbers on 1019 to make sure all of them are present. I've taken photos of everyone in my possession and the two in my father's. Extra keys to the CRV, my parents' old car, and other documents or accessories. There's at least one more key that was on the key ring with the minivan. That's my mom's. The minivan is my mom's car. That's not my issue. Townhouse keys and garage door opener. There should be a second one, not sure about keys. He thinks my brother has an extra one from when my brother lived there. My brother does not. Also not my issue anymore. Taxes and personal documents, an Omen HP PC and accessories. I didn't even know what that was. I had to Google what that was. That's apparently a computer. I have a desktop computer that I just bought last year. That is the only desktop computer that I have. Keyboard. There is a mechanical Razer keyboard that a friend gifted me the kit and I built myself. Again, don't know. I don't have a Razer keyboard. I don't know where he put it. I have no idea what he's talking about. Nintendo Switch, red and blue with black stand and accessories. What? Any Nintendo consoles, accessories, or games that are not Rebecca's Nintendo Switch Lite. Or Ethan's Guitar Hero guitar. The Oculus and attachments, a PlayStation 4, a brand new white PlayStation 5 controller, any remaining electronics that are not on this list, my gray bar stools that are in my kitchen, a blue catchphrase electronic game, any instruments, music, or related, aside from my parents' keyboard, an EGO green and black lawnmower, an EGO green and black battery-powered leaf blower, red and black battery-powered trimmer and accessories, a red and black electronic drill, one Amazon Echo Dot, suits and clothing, rubber weightlifting mats, foam jigsaw mats that were in the garage, beige and bronze weights coated in plastic material. Those are my dad's in college, just so we're all aware of what those are. Green and silver 20-pound weighted bar, silver Olympic 45 to 50-pound weighted bar, red and black weight bench, his mother's jewelry, coffee table in the loft, TV stand in the loft, tools and toolkit in garage, cornhole boards, any sports equipment, shoes and coats, a Bissell carpet vacuum, queen bed frame from guest room, and any other items Rebecca knows or has reason to believe is a non-marital personal asset. That's the list he asked for. Do you want to know what was in the contract that I had to give to him? Nothing on this first page. A lawnmower, a leaf blower, weightlifting mats, the power cage with the bar, TV stand in loft, cornhole boards, queen bed frame. Oh, and the carpet vacuum cleaner, which I gave him, but it says I didn't. Like, he marked it as I didn't. That's it. Additionally, what I really love about this is that the things that he marks that I didn't give him, he puts in writing. Oh, see, separation agreement. It says in the separation agreement that I get these things. No. It says in the first separation agreement that you would get those things. You said that one didn't matter anymore. You said that one didn't exist. So no, you don't get the extra things that were listed in the first separation agreement. Absolutely not. So he emails that to me, and all I send to him is that I haven't heard from my attorney in regards to exchanging anything. She told me at mediation that all I'm obligated to give you is what was in the contract that we signed. And I already gave you the last guns that I found in the house. And he said, well, my attorneys spoke about everything Wednesday. You should follow up with them. No need for us to talk anymore, just being respectful of your time and property by making sure you had all the info. And I said, if there was anything different that my attorneys needed to tell me, they would have. So you'll have the items listed in the contract from the other day on the driveway for you tomorrow. Do not contact me again, lose my number. I never want to interact with you again. You have taken enough from me and you are not entitled to any more of my time as well. So I have the rest of my dinner with my friends. Like, I think we were like at Korean barbecue, having a good time with friends, like not dealing with this anymore. I don't know why I put my laptop away. I still need this. So, I just have a nice time the rest of my evening, and I go to sleep, and my friends, the guys, they help me get things situated for him to pick up the next day on my driveway. My ex gets there, and he has, a truck, 2 guys, and who I believe, I don't know for certain, but I believe that the person he has show up with him, I believe is Tess. I think so. I'm like 95% sure it is Tess. It was really funny watching them on my Ring camera because Doofus is the one who backed the moving truck, like the U-Haul truck, into my driveway and ran into the furniture that I had out for him on the driveway. That was pretty funny. I enjoyed that one. Well, side note, my neighbor's amazing. I have the best neighbors. My neighbor was also watching because like he's been aware. He's like, I'm just making sure you're good. They're great. I love my neighbor, his wife, their kids, very sweet. He was like, I also saw that. I was like, yeah, it was pretty funny. But like what was concerning was they backed the truck in and then they just started taking things out. And you know what they took out of the truck to put on my driveway? That box of plastic that was in his garage, the broken futon and the frame, the broken couch. He just starts taking all of this trash, all of these things for the dump, and just starts putting it out on my driveway. And I took like a lot of stuff, just laying it out on my driveway, blocking my entire driveway. I couldn't even like get my car in or out of the garage with where they put everything. So I'm like, what? You can't do this. You can't just dump trash on my driveway. And so he said there was supposed to be a police officer that was coming. There was no police officer present. So I called the police and I was like, hey, they said there's supposed to be a police officer who's coming and like being here as an escort and a witness. He's dumping trash all over my driveway. Like, I need someone to be here and tell him he can't do that. What ended up happening was in a span of like the next hour or so, maybe, I told them, well, everything that I'm bringing is her stuff. If she doesn't want it, like that doesn't mean that I have to dispose of it. That's not the broken futon you begged my brother to not throw. That's not my stuff. But he tells them it's all chalked up to marital disputes. That's what the police chalk it up to. Marital disputes. I'm like, he's dumping trash on my driveway. And they end up asking a bunch of questions that leads to like me telling them why I will not go outside and speak to him. I'm afraid of him at this point. And that opens the door for the police saying that my ex said that the firearm was missing, and the police officer told me that my ex said that I am hiding one of his firearms. Remember, they said 2 earlier, and now it's 1. Oh, okay. And he requested that they raid my house and allow the officer to like let him come inside with them so that he can get the things that are left in my house while we're at it. And I was like, is that going to happen? And the officer was like, no, it's not. That's not how that works. And I was like, okay, thank you. While we're here, can I just like go ahead and give all the information about all of the break-ins, the abuse, like all of these things? Cause like, this is getting ridiculous. Additionally, when is this officer going to get here? Because I was told blatantly that he was not coming without one and he's here, and that he wasn't gonna start loading or anything until an officer got here, but he's been doing it. Like, he's clearly not concerned about it. He very clearly, from my opinion, asked for one for the show of it, but isn't actually worried about any of it. And I would like an officer here before he leaves so that he can be forced to take all this trash with him. Like, what? Well, ma'am, we got some other stuff going on, which understandable. Like, this isn't an emergency. I get it. But we were told that it's your stuff and we can't really like prove right now whose it is and isn't. So like, there's nothing that we can really do. Okay. Great. But you know, because of the accusations that you've raised, we're gonna have a detective like look into it and be assigned to your case, and she'll be in touch about like next steps. Okay. And the guy told me, and he's like, before I let you go, you really need to look into a DVPO. And I said, what is that? And he was shocked that neither of my attorneys recommended this to me before. And he said a DVPO is a domestic violence protection order. It's basically a restraining order, and you go and you get one. And how it works here is that you go and you file a DVPO. You initially go through they register the paperwork, and then you go and basically like, hey, I promise everything I said is truthful. Hand on the book. I solemnly swear. Is that actually what they say? That might just be what they say in Harry Potter. I solemnly swear I'm up to no good. That I might not know. It's fine. I don't remember it. It's all, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth so help you God? Yes. And they're like, boom, we grant you a temporary protection order. You're good to go. In a couple weeks, we will all come back. We have to serve your abuser. And then we will all come back and we'll have like an actual trial where like you can speak and he can defend himself, and then we'll decide if you get like an actual lasting 1-year protection order. Okay, cool. So I don't know what I'm doing, and I feel like I have been so let down every which way I turn by everyone involved in this. And so I go to the Family Justice Center in my city, and I just break down crying, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just lost everything, and now he's asking police to raid my home and take all these things, and there were narcotics in my bag. Like, I'm just scared. I don't know what to do. So they sit with me and they help me fill out the paperwork. And I go through and I do the process, and they're like, okay. And they give me a date to where we will come back and have our initial little trial once they serve him. And during that time, I get a call from the officer, and I obviously send her like all the proof that I have, and she gets back to me and says, I need you to hear me because I need you to like listen to the words that I'm saying. And I said, okay. And she said, you have proof for all of these things. Unfortunately, a lot of these particular statutes, the DA actively, on a consistent, regular basis, it's not just you, but they typically choose to not prosecute on these criminal statutes. And I said, what's the point of having criminal statutes if it doesn't matter? And she said, I hear you. But so like the breaking in one, when you're separate, it's a criminal statute if you're separated and they still just let themselves into your house, break into your house, like that's a criminal offense. She said, it is still a criminal offense, and you have all the proof that he did it. And I see it, and I see the text documentation, and I see the audio recordings of him like laughing about it and joking about it like it happened. The DA just never chooses to prosecute on that statute. I said, okay. She said, and because that is like the biggest charge, they decided to not prosecute this case because it can just be chalked up to marital disputes, and we are overbooked and overscheduled for more. She said, I don't want this to belittle what you've experienced, but we have much more serious cases to prosecute instead. And I said, so he just gets to get away with it? Like, what about the years of abuse? And she said, I see the letters and I see the audio recordings, but we don't actually have photos of the bruises. So the way she explained it is like, they have to see what they're prosecuting for. And because I didn't ever seek medical help or take photos, they can't do that. I said, okay, great, whatever. And also during that time, yes, that is when I posted the part 1 of why I got divorced. A couple things happened. First, I got a Facebook message from an old ex-boyfriend from high school, and he reached out to me and said, why is your ex-husband trying to add me on Facebook and send me messages on Facebook? And I said, I don't know. Like, we got court coming up. I'm sure he's probably trying to find like anyone who would say something bad about me. If he has to go to like an old high school boyfriend to try and find dirt, I guess I'm doing something right in life. you know, I guess I'm doing something right in life. If that's how desperate he is to find people that, like, I've wronged. And I didn't even wrong this guy. Like, I didn't do anything. This high school boyfriend cheated on me. Like, I don't know what maybe he was just looking for someone to say something bad about me. I don't know. And it's funny because, like, after he was like, oh, I'm just gonna block him. Don't worry about it. I was like, okay, thank you. And we even had like a little back and forth of he's like, I've heard you talk about how I was mean to you in high school and I cheated on you and like that's hurtful stuff. And I was like, so was cheating on me, my guy. Like, I don't know. It's not like I like name dropped you and like made you a target for people. I shared my experience. That's the experience you put me through. Like, and I think I can probably count on one hand the times in my content career I've mentioned this dude, but whatever. He's like, you know what, that's fair. He's like, well, I've changed and I've grown. And I'm like, great. That's still what you put me through. I can like still talk about what I experienced from like my first serious boyfriend. He's like, that's fair. Yeah, I thought so. Thanks. Have a good life. The more interesting thing in person that I heard from when I posted why I got divorced, the first why I got divorced video, was an old roommate from my ex's law school days. And let me give you like the background to this situation. My ex-husband lived in an apartment with 4 people. It was him, this guy, and then 2 others. Now the 2 others I'm still friends with to this day. I still am in contact with. I went to one of their weddings. Like, I still talk to these 2 to this day. When they were in law school, one of them used to smoke. But you do you, that's your business. But he used to sit in his windowsill and do it, and like here, that kind of smoking's not legal. And they just got new neighbors who were, I would probably look at, like, you would look at them today and be like, oh, they're definitely MAGA, for sure. We told them, hey, might not want to sit in your windowsill and do that. They're the type, they're gonna call. And who didn't listen? That guy. And so one day, the police came knocking on their door. He got in trouble, and it was just decided that I did it. I don't know why. I was talking to one of their law school friends, not even their roommates. I still talk to multiple of their law school friends. Like, we are all friends. And she's actually friends with that roommate, and always has been. She's like, I think it was your ex that called. Okay, I don't know. Who knows? Regardless, the roommate not only decided it was me, but tried to punish me for it by, 1, he tried to burn me in the face with hookah coals, and then he tried to get me banned from the apartment, and the landlady was like, you can't tell another tenant that their girlfriend can't come over, or that their friend can't come over. Because even if my ex went back home, like, some of the roommates would still invite me over to watch movies. She's like, you can't tell them that their friend can't come over just because you don't like them. Like, that's not how that works. Then he told me that he called the police on me for trespassing into the apartment and showed me the call log on his phone to show he was on the phone with 911. And I got concerned because I was student teaching at the time. So I literally called the police department and was like, I'm really confused and I'm just trying to figure out if I'm not supposed to be here. And they laughed and they said, we told that guy there was nothing we could do. Like, his roommates are allowed to have friends over, you're fine. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that guy, I have not spoken to, heard from, whatever, in 10 years. They graduated, what, in 18? A little less than 10 years. Almost a decade, though. Why is this man in my comment sections talking about, I don't believe her, she tried to ruin my life, blah, 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 blah. This man was in my comment sections talking about how I got evicted from their apartment. I didn't live in their apartment. How am I supposed to get evicted? He literally went on Reddit and said, here are emails, here's proof of emails that I spoke to the landlady about her and she wasn't allowed in the apartment. And he just shows, like, you know how when you go to your email and it shows like just all your emails listed, but it's not the actual like content of the email, it just says to this person, from that person, subject. That's what he showed on Reddit. And I was like, yeah, you emailed her and she told you tough luck. I can't be evicted from somewhere I never lived. My apartment was literally in that same complex across the breezeway. I lived with the fiance of another one of their law school friends in the same complex. Well, and she also was stealing our stuff, but no one ever saw her do it. What? What is happening? What is happening right now? Apparently what happened, because he so graciously sent the beginning of a screenshot, was Doofus reached out to him and said, hey guy, actually I'll just read it to you. Hold on. I'll just read it to you. Hey dude, hope you've been doing well. First, I want to apologize for how you were treated when we lived together and any additional stress that I caused. Rebecca lied to me about everything, and though I truly knew very little, I was completely in the wrong for supporting her actions. She recently filed a false police report against me, claiming I sexually and physically abused her for 10 years. And as ridiculous as that sounds, we still have to gather evidence for the hearing. We found her old messages on a device which proves she called the cops on you and did everything in her power to ruin your life. I wouldn't blame you if you don't, and then it was cut off. That's the only screenshot that he provided. So there's a few things about this. First of all, I have a temporary restraining order in place. You going out of your way to incite people to harass me violates that. Not only that, I have a temporary restraining order against you. What do you mean you went through my messages? On what device? What device do you have of mine when we've already exchanged our property? What device of mine have you had, broken into, and secretly been spying on me in my messages? There isn't one, just that we're clear. But if you did, that's a violation of the restraining order that you can go to jail for. So what do? I immediately call that detective. And I tell her, this is a criminal offense. You can press criminal charges for this, right? Yeah, we can. Absolutely. And she goes and looks up in the system, and then she pauses and she goes, they haven't served him yet. What do you mean they haven't served him yet? Yeah, in the file, they haven't served him yet. Does that matter? Yeah, he can't be held liable for breaking the restraining order if he hasn't been served the restraining order. But he's talking in the thing about, what do you mean? He's talking in the thing about how the police report, that he could be talking about our investigation. But he's talking about the hearing. Well, it's in the system, they didn't record it. They didn't record serving him. Okay, great. So yet again, he can break the law, but it doesn't matter. Sounds great. So I just get ready to just go to this hearing by myself. I didn't get an attorney for it. My divorce attorney say we don't practice that kind of law. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna go by myself and it'll be fine. And so I walk in and I have my parents and I have my brother and I'm just ready to get it over with. And then in walks my ex with his divorce attorney, a completely different attorney. And then someone from the court walks over and they hand me a piece of paper and they said, he's filing a retaliatory DVPO against you. So we can't actually have this hearing today because you have to have notice for yours to be able to defend against his. So we have to reschedule. I said, I don't need to reschedule anything. I guarantee you all the proof that I have on this thumb drive will negate everything that he puts in here and supports it. Like, I don't need time because I got the truth on my side. And they said, no, his is 10 pages. For those that don't know, that's like not normal for this is a domestic violence court. This is about safety. I just want to because I'm going to read you everything. I'm going to read you his stuff, okay? But they said, nope, we were rescheduling it. We're going to reschedule it for in a couple weeks. Okay, whatever. And before we leave, his attorney steps up and says, to be clear, Rebecca Rogers has been publicly defaming, harassing, threatening him and his family and is asking followers to do so as well. So can we make it so that she can't post anything? And everything about him has to come down. Okay, yeah, sure. What do you mean? Like, can I explain? No, we don't have time for that today, in a few weeks. No, but like, this is my livelihood. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I pay rent. And he just took everything I had saved up. Like, I have to pay my bills. We don't have time to hear all this. And like, the judge was getting visibly frustrated. And he's like, you can't post anything like personal about this. You can't post things that like aren't work related. It's all work related. And he like didn't understand, but he was getting very agitated. And so I just stopped trying to explain. And I was like, okay, great. Sounds good. So I come home and I take everything down, and I'm like, I guess I gotta get an actual attorney. And so let's go through this. I know how ridiculous this entire thing is, but like y'all will get to really appreciate how ridiculous this thing is. So like the first few pages is like the official, like the actual paperwork of here's the courthouse and here are the attorneys involved and blah, 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 blah. And it's like the official stuff. So I'm gonna get to the actual parts where my ex writes in all of the scary things that have happened that makes him need a DVPO. Like on mine, like this is, remember, this is domestic violence court. So in mine, I put outlining physical violence, physical abuse, sexual abuse, the break-ins, like issues that I'm scared about, that I'm like, I need this person to stay away from me. He's like asking police to raid my house. Like that's what domestic violence court is for. Safety concerns, okay? This is the 1, 2, 3, the 4 pages of, the 4 pages of him outlining the scary situations that make him need a protection order against me. March 2nd, 2025. So this is the March blow up when he turned off my internet. Remember when I told you guys I just wanted to show you like the friendly nature of me offering all the furniture and all the things because it will matter later? Here we go. Rebecca and I discussed switching the internet at the marital property into her name in October of 2024 because she was living there and our contract ended, increasing the price significantly. I asked her about it numerous times from October to January, to which she said she would look into it, handle it, or ask her father if it was done. On February 16th, 2025, we discussed the issue again at the marital property and she told me the internet was taken care of. I told her I was shutting the internet off at the end of the next billing cycle. The internet shut off on March 2nd, and Rebecca texted me concerned and angry. The texting turned into an argument, so I explained that I would turn the internet back on for 1 month, and I told her I would no longer text back. But she insisted I call her. I initially refused, but reluctantly agreed after several inflammatory texts. She proceeds to insult me and berate me for the first 15-30 minutes of the conversation, and even threatens me and my family. I drew the line with the threats to my family, and provided counterexamples to her arguments in a heightened tone. Rebecca starts recording the conversation without my permission. The recording is harmless, but she's taken portions of it way out of context to try and humiliate me and threaten me publicly, described further down. For those that didn't watch part 3, that's not how any of that happened, but the actual text receipts and audio recordings are available if you're interested. Okay. March 27th, I obtained legal representation due to the threats and increasingly hostile communications, hoping we could amicably resolve things if we made it less personal and followed the proper avenues. My attorney sent a letter of representation and requested Rebecca refrain from posting or releasing information about the divorce until the matter was settled. Rebecca found representation and her attorney sent a similar response. All parties agreed to maintain confidentiality as to make negotiations fair and civil. There's no confidentiality agreement. Remember when I said I wondered if he was going to try and get a free NDA? April 16th, 2025. Rebecca and or her friends make an anonymous Facebook post accusing me of physical abuse, that I gave Rebecca an eating disorder, that I'm a bad dude, and explaining that I'm a pathological liar. Rebecca admits that she or her friends made a post in a recording on September 8th, 2025. Rebecca also makes another post under the same anonymous ID on September 15th, which clearly indicates she is the one posting and doxes my personal information. This post was not only in direct conflict with the confidentiality we were to maintain in negotiations, but defamatory, and the intent was to cause harm to my reputation or elicit a public response. And let me add something. So, in the September meeting when we met in person, one of the fun tidbits I forgot, one of the highlights, if you're not going to watch the whole thing, is that apparently he asked me about a post that he found, an anonymous post on Are We Dating the Same Guy? Where someone posted his dating profile and said, any tea on this guy? Anonymous commenters were like, that's my friend's ex-husband or soon to be, he's a piece of shit. I don't know who it was. I don't know who it was. Well, at the time, I didn't know who it was. I've since learned who it was. But she admitted it was her friend. No. He said, well, there's some information that, like, you would have had to tell people about. And I said, yeah, I've told a lot of my friends about things that have happened. And okay. So now he's trying to make a domestic violence report that I outed him anonymously on Are We Dating the Same Guy? Which it was not me that put. First of all, I would need multiple accounts to post his thing and then comment on it and then add comments to the comment like apparently there are. That's not my problem. That's not my issue. But he is telling a domestic violence court that he fears for his safety because I called him a bad dude and that he abused me anonymously on a Facebook dating post. July 10th, 2025. Rebecca posts a social media video implying she was single for a reason and glad to be out of a toxic relationship. She then states she cannot give any more information in the comments because there's an NDA, but made sure she said how bad it was and that she was glad she was away from a terrible relationship. Okay, first of all, I never said I can't say anything because of an NDA because there's never been an NDA. I also did not make any posts about him in that time frame. I'm assuming there might have been like a one comment that I made in a Bad Apple video, which is so funny. Is he watching all of my content every week to see if I say something about him? That's so funny. I love that. Anyways, August 11th, 2025. Rebecca's friend, quote unquote, makes another anonymous Facebook post alleging I was sexually abusive, physically abusive, and that my family is openly racist, and that my father sexually harassed Rebecca. Rebecca's mother posts in response to comments, without doing so anonymously, under the post explaining that she would DM anyone with more details since Rebecca was not going to do so. And September 8th, 2025, the attorneys recommended we try to compromise on personal assets, explaining it would save time, money, and that those are not generally covered in depth at mediation. I text Rebecca to see if she would be willing to meet me in a public place and talk. After thoroughly insulting me and mocking me, Rebecca finally agrees. Remember, our attorneys did not have that conversation. Upon arrival, I ask if she's recording the conversation, and she lies and says no, but I can see the recording device flashing inside her belt line. I start the conversation by thanking her and trying to say how much I care for her and value her as a person, expecting we were actually going to discuss splitting the personal property and returning my possession. I was wrong. Rebecca spends the entire 2 hours berating me, threatening me, and lying about the evidence that she's going to use to destroy me. There's recorded evidence of her saying if I do not accept her ridiculous demands and take what she's offering before she leaves without my attorney present, she will do whatever it takes to ruin my life. Where's the evidence though? Because I have the recorded conversation that says all the things that I claim you said. Do you have that? You don't, because I didn't say it. So, that she's planning on filing any criminal charges that she can find, would try to get me disbarred, fired from my job, and would humiliate my family, and that her and her followers would make sure I got what I deserved. See, y'all are even being drawn into this. That's crazy. September 15th, 2025. Rebecca posts another anonymous Facebook post which starts, "Not my soon-to-be ex-husband," affirming she was the one posting. I'm gonna be honest, I can't even find the post he's referring to for this one. I found the other ones at least to see what he was talking about. I couldn't even find this one. This post doxes me to the group, and she threatens to share her receipts of my misconduct with the world after mediation. Again, it just doesn't exist. October 9th, 2025. We attended mediation for our divorce, which Rebecca and her attorney requested, and they made the final offer that was accepted, a 70-30 split in her favor, and she gets to keep all of our business assets without disclosing any information. Oh my God. My attorney and I thought this would satisfy everyone so we could split the remaining assets, return all personal property, and be done with this nightmare. Towards the end of mediation, Rebecca becomes so irate that I can hear her screaming and slamming things on a different floor of the building through a sound-resistant room and a very loud noisemaker. I can hear her threatening me, my attorney, the attorney's firm, and even the mediator. It was bad enough that the mediator stepped out to call her friend on the ethics board to see how to handle the situation. And he explained there was nothing the mediator could do, and it would only make the situation more volatile. So he advised the mediator to recommend a DVPO be filed if we thought it was necessary for my safety, and that we be escorted out the building while Rebecca was retained. As the mediator was explaining the commotion, Rebecca posted on social media explaining that she was going to have a good time coming after me since I didn't want to pay her $50K for an NDA that we had no reason to believe she was going to abide by anyways. I showed the mediator the photo my brother sent me of the post, and the mediator said she was going to have to address this matter with Rebecca's attorney because the post violated the rules of mediation that we agreed to and signed at the beginning of the session. The mediator returned explaining was very angry and that we would need to be escorted out and allowed to leave in our vehicles before she was allowed to leave the room. Just so we're clear, I'm putting all the receipts of my attorney. Like, no, you weren't slamming things. No, you weren't screaming at everybody. Like that, no, there's no noise-resistant walls or anything. Like that's not a thing. Now, I did make that Instagram post 100% after we signed what we were agreeing to, after it was all done. So no, it didn't break any rules. And leaving at separate times is standard procedure for those kinds of things, is what I'm told. So, but we're not done yet. So don't even worry. We're not done. October 11th, 2025. Rebecca texts me that her family is coming to get the rest of her things. I initially think she's not coming with them until she texts me saying that some bar stools weren't there. Rebecca didn't own those bar stools as she gave them to me and they were not in the separation agreement. They're like literally the only thing I had been asking to get from the townhouse this entire time. But okay. What do you mean I didn't own them? My dad and I built them. What? To be nice, I bring the bar stools outside to give them to her. I hesitate going back in, looking at the items to make sure everything is in the right place. And Rebecca barks at me, asking why I'm still in her presence. As I start back inside, she screams at me, saying that she hopes I rot in jail, or she hopes I get hit by a bus. I asked her if we could chat, attempting to explain that I set utilities to cancel on this particular day at her residence as instructed, letting her know the statute of the mortgages and giving her all these necessary updates. This was important as my attorney was on emergency medical leave due to a condition where she almost died in her office, and the other attorney I worked with was booked for a week and was not supposed to be attending to my matter, so I thought it was imperative to be nice, to avoid any conflict, and because it was the right thing to do. And as Rebecca became more violent, I told her I was going to start recording and just needed to give her updates about the separation agreement and I would go inside. Rebecca explains how much she hates me, threatens me physically, criminally, professionally, and to get me disbarred. It was so bad that her parents had to stop her because they were afraid she was going to do something to me. Rebecca told me that she was going to go to the police department right after to get them to come and arrest me, but after they left, Rebecca sends me a text saying that her attorney gave her permission to harass me online, explaining that she would make sure I got what I deserve and that she'll find a way to put me in jail in hopes that I rot in hell for taking everything from her. We all saw the screenshots. We all saw the video in this part, just so, yeah. Okay. October 13th, 2025, Rebecca sends a very cryptic text saying that she knows what I did and that she was going to contact her attorney and the cops to get me arrested. And I had no clue what she was talking about and was genuinely afraid Rebecca was going to have something done to me or that she was in an altered mental state. I was scared to leave my house and go to work or pick up food. So I contacted my attorneys with an urgent email and called the police. The police told me that she had not called that day. The officer suggested I file a DVPO and told me to make a checklist of my possessions that were not material and that I had to pick up from her residence. He said to give a copy to Rebecca or her attorney as proof I requested my belongings back and to bring to the police department once I sent the request. October 15th, 2025. My attorney spoke with her attorney and found out that Rebecca apparently found a pill bottle of narcotics in one of her boxes that she picked up. There are 3 issues with this. 1, I took photos and videos of her belongings. 2, I only added items to like 2 boxes and she didn't even take those boxes. And 3, the only pain medication I've ever received is still in the original prescription bag because I didn't ever open it or take any. I received pain meds in 2023 after my wisdom teeth were removed, and I placed the bag in a secure drawer with our important documents in our marital home. The bag was never taken out and certainly would not have been at my property. And I can't say for certain she planted the bottles and tried to frame me, but I can verify that they should have only been in her possession during and after she retrieved her belongings. What is even more suspicious is that my attorney requested the pill bottle be returned, and she refused to give it to me when I retrieved my belongings. Rebecca also stole items from my garage that were not in her pile, and she knew were not hers, like an expensive pants press. I have videos showing that she took it. What? Why? If I think that you're planting narcotics on me, why would I just give them back to you? I brought them to the Justice Department. What? But I also love the pants press got loaded because it was gestured to while we were there, and it was loaded while he was out there with us. Like, he watched me put that in. If I wasn't supposed to take that, which he asked me to because he hated it so much, but even if I was mistaken, he would have just said, not that. right? I mean, he can have it back. I don't, like, what am I going to do with a pants press? October 18th, 2025, the separation agreement stated that I had to retrieve my belongings before October 19th, 2025. I contacted Rebecca's parents to ask when they were coming to remove the rest of their belongings from my garage. They responded by saying that they were disappointed in me. In an effort to be nice, and because I needed the space in order to retrieve my belongings, I paid the movers an extra hour so that they could load and deliver their belongings to Rebecca's house, and her mother previously told me not to get rid of them. I have videos of this whole exchange. At 11:30 a.m., I called for a police escort that was supposed to meet the movers, my witnesses, and myself at noon. Upon arriving, I noticed all of my belongings were on the driveway. I received a call around 12:05 from an officer saying that he was 25 minutes away. He explained the original escort was called to an emergency while en route, and I explained that we were already there with the movers and a witness. He had told me to avoid any direct contact with Rebecca, but I could start getting my things if they were accessible. I explained I had her belongings and asked if it was okay if I left them, and he told me it was. I remained on the phone with him and directed the movers from a distance. I had the movers place her belongings exactly where she had placed mine, and even covered them with a protective plastic. I left the checklist on her door as an officer instructed on October 13th, and I unloaded my things at my property and went to the police station to file the checklist and missing firearm report. The officer at the station informed me that Rebecca had called the police, the same officer I was on the phone with, alleging I illegally dumped trash all over her property and accused me of over 100 accounts of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse going back to 2014. I was informed that there was a mandatory investigation due to the allegations of domestic abuse and that Rebecca was filing a DVPO. The DVPO filed is absurd and has extremely serious allegations that were never so much as mentioned until after the mediation. Rebecca has used the filing to harass and incite a reaction online. I'll put the text from him and my parents on here, but it was basically like, hey, there I have this futon from your brother, from your son, and this other stuff that I think looks like Michelle's stuff. Rebecca said that she's coming to get everything. Is she not coming to get this? And they were like, no, that's not her stuff, is pretty much what it was. They said they were disappointed in me. Oh. But here's just some really great ring footage to show how my ex watched them from a distance, but that distance was on my driveway, just in case anyone's wondering. It's also really funny how he's like, no one ever mentioned any of these abuse things, even though there's like so many texts and the letters that he wrote me and like audio recordings, like every mention of all this abuse is from before mediation. So I don't know where he got that either. And I love that he's, oh, well, they told me to file a DVPO before she did, but you didn't until I did. Interesting. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're still going. October 9th through 19th. Rebecca posts extremely inflammatory social media posts that are defamatory and use my likeness without my permission for her profit. These posts also dox me and my family. Rebecca has stated several times she is intentionally using these to harass me in hopes they cause me physical, criminal, and professional and personal harm. There are hundreds of comments which imply or directly threaten me and my family. I have photos of hundreds of comments. Rebecca is giving people our information and intentionally firing them up to humiliate and attack us. Here are two examples of direct threats to me, which I have photos of. On October 12th, 2025, one guy sent a Facebook message saying, I might want to switch my settings to private given that I've been outed as the piece of crap that I really am. October 13th, I got a death threat from this guy, and I can't tell you exactly what it said because the message was deleted and removed and the account no longer exists. You're getting all of these death threats, but you can't actually get an example of a death threat that you're given. And the one that was a death threat, you can't actually tell anyone about because you were blocked by that person. And it's unavailable. How convenient. That's fascinating. October 20th, 2025, Rebecca filed a DVPO with extreme allegations, and if granted, there would certainly be and inevitably be a complete perversion of this order's intended purpose. Rebecca will not use it as a shield, but rather a weapon to create more danger and conflict for everyone involved, as you can see from this evidence. She's already said she's going to use everything at her disposal as a weapon, so why would this be any different? October 26, 2025, Rebecca posts a 4.5-hour long video video alleging that my family and I abused, mistreated, and were conducting every manner of misconduct to her under the sun since 2014. This video is extremely derogatory, and not only is the intent to cause a clear and presented harm or potential for future conflict. Note, she's posting this after her filing of a DVPO, in which she has requested we have no contact and no longer associate with each other in any way. This is not only defamatory and harassing, it should be a violation of her DVPO because she's talking about me. It's a perversion of the legal process. And that's it for his sequence of events, but he added a couple notes. It says, one note is, I request the firearm that she still has to be returned by October 8th as per our separation agreement. Rebecca claimed the firearm, along with a number of my other personal belongings, is no longer in her possession. I've seen items in her garage that she claims she no longer has while picking up a few things that she would permit me to retrieve. I also have an eyewitness who will testify that the firearm, with other items, was left in her care when I was no longer permitted to enter the property. I filed a report while with the police on October 18th, reporting the firearm was missing and unable to be located. My father has retrieved all other firearms as they were registered in his name, and we ran a serial number to confirm. The SIG is the only missing firearm and has not been located. So either you saying you broke into my garage again, or you're lying, because I have only been putting stuff on the driveway for this person for a very long time when they pick up items. I mean, I know they're lying because I don't have a gun. Like, you know what I mean. I don't have the gun. There's a reason I brought them all to his house as soon as I could because I didn't want them here. But like for him to be like, well, I saw them in there. Okay, how'd you see them in there? Did you break in again? The anonymous Facebook posts are defamatory, and Rebecca has stated on multiple recording communications that she's intentionally using them to hurt my reputation or get me in legal trouble. Where are they at though then? Where are these recordings at? There have been direct threats as a result of those posts, and I'm worried it's only going to get more serious. The posts are not required for her job and are only creating a clear and present danger for me and my family with a very high risk on future and ongoing conflict. I request that Rebecca be ordered not to publish on social media or any other public forum any future content, comments, public communications, or posts about me, my family, the separation, divorce, or related topic. I request that Rebecca be ordered to stop using my likeness and personal information for profit without my permission, to harass, or with the intent to cause reputational or personal harm. I request that Rebecca be ordered to return all of my non-material and personal property listed below, as well as my marital property distributed to me under the mediated separation agreement, that I be allowed limited access to her property in which she resides with an escort by law enforcement and a witness to retrieve these items. The CRV keys, the townhouse keys that he thinks my mom and my brother has that no one has, a specific Razer keyboard that I still don't know what he's talking about to this day, Nintendo Switch, the Oculus headsets, PlayStation 4, white PlayStation 5 controller, all electronics, gray bar stools, instruments. The lawnmower that I had in the leaf blower apparently were not the ones that he wanted. He's like, well, I want these ones. I don't have those ones. So he listed out these lawnmower in these leaf blowers. I don't got them, my guy. I don't know where you put them. The red and black power trimmer and accessories that he actually put on the first document that I did give him. Interesting. Suit, tuxes, and formal wear, jigsaw mats in the garage. Milo, the black, gray, and white tabby, which I purchased prior to the marriage. Vixie, the black, brown, and orange tabby, which I purchased prior to the marriage. Mother's jewelry. These items were stolen from me and my father without my knowledge after my mother passed. Rebecca sent texts and there is verbal recordings with her admission that she has them and intended to return them. My guy. That's not going to save you now. I offered them to you forever ago. You said no. I guarantee it's because his family probably gave him crap for not giving him back. And he's, oh, she won't give him back. He didn't want him back. And any other items Rebecca knows or has reason to believe is a non-marital or personal asset belonging to me or an individual where I should be given the item to in return. That is... I mean, even just with the things that I've shared with you guys in these last 4 parts, everything in here is refutable by just blatant receipts. Blatant receipt. Absolutely insane. So, my God. I end up getting my own attorney for this mess. He's great. Love him. Wonderful. And we go to our first court date in, I don't remember what month it was. It was November or December. One of them. I really don't remember, to be completely honest. And this attorney, he's like, I'm not worried at all. He's like, I know you're not an attorney, but this document that he filed, my attorney said, was embarrassing. He's like, this is domestic violence court. And he's like, oh, well, I want this lawnmower and I want her to not say bad things about me. And she hurt my feelings because she told people what I did to her. Like, this is domestic violence court. You're an attorney. What are you doing? So we go to court. I do not think that my ex expected me to have a lawyer. I genuinely do. He seemed shocked and not happy. The problem was when we get there the morning of, the internet wasn't working in the building. So that meant that they couldn't even open the case files, and we had to sit around for hours while they got that figured out. And they let us know once they finally got the internet working, we're not going to be able to finish all this today. We can start what we can start, but we're going to have to continue it. There's just no way. And the entire proceeding was recorded. Not by me, by them. They recorded. And I have the recordings. I have the first recording with me now. I still have to pick up the second recording from my attorney because I originally intended to post the recordings. And after thinking about it, I decided not to. And here's why. I didn't know of a good way to do it where it seemed fair. Because one, you can barely hear anything that I'm saying. And it's easier for me to, in like my attorneys, to make it out because I know what I said. But just playing it, I don't know if anyone's even going to be able to understand anything I said on the stand because I apparently sat way too far away from the microphone. I also was very explicit that I was not going to give details about the physical and sexual abuse that I experienced. I'm being vulnerable enough. You know what I mean? So that means that like every part of me being on the stand just wouldn't be included. And even with stuff with my mom went on the stand and my brother went on the stand to testify on my behalf of things they saw and things they witnessed happening. And there's a lot of reasons that I want to keep them out of it. One, they have enough of a target on their backs from certain people. But also, like, I know they felt scrutinized enough. Like, I know it's my ex's attorney's job to try to cast doubt onto their testimony. And then, like, they really agonized over, like, did I say this right? Did I describe this the right way? Should I have said more? Should I have given more examples? And I don't want them to do that more on, like, such a global scale. I don't think that's fair. But then I also didn't think it was fair to only post my ex's testimony. Like, as much as he might deserve it, I didn't think it was fair. I just didn't think that was fair. Now, am I going to give you some things that were said? 100%. And I just know that everything that I'm saying, if it needs to be for legal reasons, can be backed up by the audio recordings the courthouse has and stores. They share with us their evidence binder, their evidence for all of these claims that my ex is making, and I will share it with you. But all it really is, yeah. So we have my DVPO, his DVPO, our separation agreement, a screenshot of my YouTube channel, just like the front of my YouTube channel, the Rebecca Rogers, the pinned video is why I quit teaching, my profile picture, my band, like that's it, that's it. Same thing with my TikTok profile, just the front page of my TikTok profile. Same thing with my Instagram, just the front page of my Instagram. A photo of a screen scrape of why I got divorced. And literally, it's the first 2 seconds. It's the captions that are like printed out on the screen is, and I know you all have been waiting for this for so long. That's it. The screenshot of the Instagram story of divorce mediation done. A certain someone cared more about taking everything I've ever worked for than an NDA for me to keep quiet about his years of abuse. So get ready for some story time content over the next few weeks. A screenshot of a short video that I posted of audio recordings of him telling me he was happy that he gave me an eating disorder. A screenshot of an Are We Dating the Same Guy post. And I'll be honest, so the anonymous one's not me. He did give me the idea that once mediation was done, I posted my own, for sure. Yeah, I did do that, 100%. Mediation was October 9th, and I posted this October 9th. Not anonymous, it's got my first and last name, all of it. So he took a screenshot of that. Then he took screenshots of y'all's comments, you guys' comments on my videos about him, saying this man deserves every single ounce of misfortune that comes his way. May he get everything he deserves. More women need to see this. I'm sorry this happened to you. These are the dangerous comments he's referring to. He said, what to Becca? Oh, we will hurt him, baby. Just sit back and drink your tea. We've got this, baby. I'm glad you recorded these conversations. I'm happy this chapter of your life is over. Like, it's just y'all's comments. It's not even comments that I've responded to. It's all just your comments. Then he got a screenshot of the Facebook message where he should put everything on private. And then he posted a screenshot of me telling him, you can request whatever you want. Defamation only works when it's untrue. You don't care about taking everything I worked for? Fine. I don't care about the world knowing what a horrible, abusive person you are. And it's literally that conversation. And then he took a picture of my Facebook Marketplace profile where I was selling a fire pit table. No idea why. And a sofa that I sold. I have no idea why. Because that's a sofa that I bought after we separated, and then I didn't like it, so I sold it on Facebook Marketplace so I could buy a different one. I have no idea, but that's it. That's all for the evidence binder. That's it. So that day, we had time for me to go on the stand, my mom to go on my stand, my brother to go on the stand. These were the witnesses that we called, and I testified to verbal, emotional, physical abuse. My mom testified on my behalf. My brother testified on my behalf, and I tried very hard to not look at my ex while I was doing this. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction. I just sat and listened and looked at my my attorney the entire time while I was on the stand. But I could hear whisper arguing the entire time from the other side of the courtroom. And I didn't look, but I heard it. And so when I sat down, I don't remember if we took a break or if maybe they told me after. I don't remember. But my family said that my ex was whisper arguing with his attorney the entire time. And when my mom went onto the stand, they really got into it. I guess my ex wanted his attorney to ask a question that his attorney didn't think was important. And my ex stood up in the middle of court, addressed the judge directly, and asked if he could question my mother himself. And the judge was like, who do you think you are? No? What? Sit down. What? No, you cannot. Absolutely not. That was wild. That was crazy. So then we did our witnesses, and the judge reminded us, we're gonna do what we can. You have time to call one witness. We're gonna have to finish the next time. But you do have a time crunch right now. And I believe my ex's attorney started to call me to the stand, and my ex stood up and said, no! And kind of didn't scream it, but very aggressively was like, no. And everyone just kind of looked, and then they excused themselves to the side, and they came back and said, we're actually gonna call my ex to the stand, and he was gonna go speak. And I just testified verbal, physical, sexual abuse, and my attorney let me know they're probably going to want him to address the most severe of it all, because we're going on a multiple week break after this. The judge just heard all these different abuse allegations. They wouldn't want the judge to sit on that. They would want to end with, here's my defense to those claims, right? And I was like, that makes sense to me. I understand that. That makes sense to me. So tell me why the first thing they decided to start with was verbal abuse. And my attorney was shocked. The gist of it was, did I say some things to her I probably shouldn't have? Yeah, but most of that's in the context of video games. And I'm a very competitive person, And some of the other people that we played with, they're not great guys. This one guy, and he named somebody specifically and said, this guy we play with, he's always talking about, let's kill the Jews. So, if that's the kind of things that they say, it's no different than any of the things that I say, That's literally the entire courtroom was like, what? And my attorney goes, can we strike that from the record? And the judge was like, yeah. And funny enough, like, the guy that he named sometimes says unhinged things, weird things, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Never anything like that. Never. And he also just so happens to be the guy in the Discord whose family is Jewish. The one guy who, like, translates happy holiday, like happy Yom Kippur, happy Rosh Hashanah, like, into Hebrew for me on those days. That's the guy he picked to say, oh, they say some pretty anti-Semitic things, so like, what does it matter what I say? That's your excuse? That's your defense. Making up someone else saying just as bad things. Okay, cool. And that's about where we left off that day. I was absolutely floored. I still am like kind of speechless about it. That was the most validating experience of my life, was that day in court. Like, actually, my attorney, and this is a little scary. My attorney went to go get some paperwork from the, I can't remember the title now. Shoot. The people who were like taking the transcriptions. My mind is blanking. But he made like a passive comment, or he told me that he made a passive comment to the women who were transcribing everything and said, that guy's crazy, referencing my ex. And that the women responded, yeah, he is. And him telling me that was the most invalidating thing I've ever experienced. Like, seeing people meeting him for the first time, not be charmed, see the mask fall off or slip off. Like, it was so glorious to me personally, of like, okay, I'm not crazy. It's not in my head. Like, I thought I was going crazy. And he sat me down and he's like, I'm not saying this to scare you. I just need you to like be aware of this. And I said, okay. And he said, I've been doing this a long time, and I see a lot of people in and out of these buildings. And his exact words to me, and I'm not saying this is true. I'm not diagnosing anybody. Like, nothing of, I'm just telling you what my attorney said to me. His words were, I would not be surprised if I saw that man back in this courthouse in 5-10 years as a serial killer. He said, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't, but like, I'm just telling you I wouldn't be shocked. And I said, okay. Now, to be fair, this could be naive of me. Do I think that's true? I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I do not think that's going to happen. Was that terrifying to hear in the moment? Yeah, for sure. Maybe I'm still naive, but I genuinely, with my whole being, don't believe that's going to happen. At least I hope it doesn't. But that was our break for the day, so we go home. I'm feeling good. And I know that our next date is the following month. And in the meantime, so like during the waiting period of while we were waiting for the next court date, I got a message from a woman. And I'm obviously like not going to post anything about her in like her information or anything like that, like protect her at all costs, of course. But this woman sent me a Facebook message that said that she needed to talk to me or warn me, let me know about my ex. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean by that? And she said, I matched with him on Hinge and I basically got super weirded out on our date. I blocked him and I reported his profile. I just want to make sure he's not like the dangerous type to come after me after one date. It went that weird and strange. And like, I'm thinking like, why would a random stranger be reaching out to me and asking if he's a dangerous person? I'm so confused. And I said, I don't think he would go after someone he went on one date with. Like, why? Like, and how did you find me? I'm a little paranoid. What's going on? And she said, so I get paranoid with online dating, so I look people up on social media before meeting up just to make sure they're normal people. He told me he didn't have social media, which was strange, so I did an image search on Google and found out that y'all were married, and you're an influencer, which is super cool. I asked him about it, and he was really nonchalant about it, but was willing to talk about it in person. I was already a bit iffy, so I met up with him and asked him what happened, and basically he said that you have a restraining order against him, and I don't know, the way he was talking about it rubbed me the wrong way, and he gave me narcissistic psycho vibes, so I left not even 10 minutes into it and had to block him. I don't know, I had a weird feeling. I said, if you don't mind sharing what he had to say, that would be really awesome. Like, I really appreciate this. Thank you. She's like, well, I don't want to get in the middle of anything. I don't want screenshots of me in court. I didn't bring her screenshots in court, just a video. But I'm not putting any information. Like, she's fine. She's safe. She's like, I'm sorry. I've never felt so unsafe with a Hinge date before. So I contacted you. But basically, he said that you fell out of love and you gave up and you guys had the perfect marriage to everyone, but you turned out to be narcissistic and there are some pedophilia charges. I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know where that came from. Like I said, I don't want to be involved in any of it. I was just a little shaken up by the way he was talking and looking at me. I'm very sorry this happened with the divorce and everything. You seem very sweet. And I was like, oh my God, girl, thank you so much. She continued on to say, yeah, there wasn't much of anything else. He gave me a full-on creep vibe and the whole pedo thing really threw me off too. I also don't like guys that presume to be the good guy but give me icky bad vibes. There wasn't much else. I hope everything gets resolved super quickly soon, and I'm sorry you're going through all this, all the things. And there was a little bit of time where I genuinely was like, is this someone sending me this because of the original divorce video? Mind you, all the content about that is taken down at this moment in time. I was really hesitant of like, is this someone just looking for my attention? But then she gave me some information that I knew she had to have interacted with him. 100%. And every single person, like it's more of something like a gesture he made. I don't know how to describe it without giving it away and I'm not giving it away because I don't want him to know which girl he matched with that contacted me. Like, it's for her safety, not for his benefit, 100%. But every single person in my life who I showed the screenshot to and saw that part was like, oh yeah, she 100% went out with him. And I was like, yeah, I know. There's no other way. There's no other explanation for this. Yeah, she 100% did. But like, this message had me very concerned, very nervous. I contacted my DVPO attorney, not the divorce attorneys. They're not helpful. The DVPO attorney, and I was like, should I be concerned? And he's like, I don't think so. I think we're good for right now. If anything else happens, let me know, but I think you're fine. I said, okay, cool. Sounds good. So we finally get to the last day of court, and I'm beyond ready to be done with this. I ask my attorney, do we need to call anyone else to the stand? Because we talked a lot about things that happened during the marriage, but we didn't really talk about things that happened during the separation, which I was not super happy about, but I trust him, and he said he thinks it's fine. So there's only one person who goes on the stand that day, and that my ex's team, his attorney, decides to call my ex back up to the stand to finish what he was saying. And he talked for over an hour, only some of which was even like relevant to anything that we were talking about, to be honest. Just to give you some examples, he claims that I'm on a watch list for his new job. I don't even know what that means or why. Like, if I'm telling you, go away, don't talk to me, changing my locks, why am I gonna go find you? I don't want anything to do with you, my guy. To be honest, I don't even believe that's a real thing. Let's be honest for a second. He claims that he did all of the heavy lifting for social media, that he did everything. He even said specifically that he made my Instagram page, which is funny because I have one Instagram page and it's been active since, what, 2011? I'm still tagged in photos from 2012. Like, okay. Sure, you made that. Saying that he recorded and edited all of my earliest videos, like especially early on. You mean the ones that I recorded at school and like after school, on school campus, in the classroom? That's the one that you, oh, okay, all right. And I definitely don't have my editor, Lena, that I've had for years at this point. Shout out to Lena, putting up with all these parts, the divorce saga parts, bless her heart. Yeah, she's been with me, what year was it, Lena? You can put it on the screen in like pretty little cute font. I don't know. It's been a long time though. But I think the most interesting part was at the very end. He brings up his law school roommate. And he goes on about, Rebecca has a habit of trying to ruin men's lives. Take my law school roommate, for example. We even broke up in college because of this incident. We did break up in when I was in college, when he was in law school, but it was not because of that. And I was so upset by how she acted. I mean, she called the police on him for doing illegal things. And it's just unacceptable. And that just shows she has a habit of trying to ruin people's lives. And she lied about doing it for so long. I only found out that she did it a few months ago. Well, then how did we break up over it in law school? Like, if you only found out recently, how did that happen? But also, you know, I told the other roommates that he was trying to claim that, and they were like, what? What do you mean? In fact, actually, the law school roommate, in trying to show that, like, I was in on the mocking that my ex did at the time of the law school roommate incident almost a decade ago, posted the screenshots of my ex taunting him over Facebook Messenger. I didn't even know that happened, to be honest. I thought like what he was showing me was like more of the message that my ex sent him recently. And when I was like, I don't know what this means, and he revealed, oh, this was from when he was yelling at me for trying to burn you with hot coals, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know he sent, like, wild. Just wild. That's why we broke up, because I didn't like that she called the police on him for doing illegal things. Which, even if I did, why would that be my fault if he, as a lawyer, got caught doing illegal things? Anyways, and then he added that while we were broken up in college/law school, because he was in law school and I was in college, that I would hack into his Facebook account, my ex, and unmatch people that he was matching with to ruin his dating prospects so that he would come back to me. And he's referencing the women he tried to go out with who stood him up. And the reason he knows that is because I was still logged into old burner accounts on his account to show this, and the anonymous posts were from those accounts because those are my burner accounts on those platforms. It was something along those lines. It was so hard for me to follow at the time, so I'm pretty sure that's what he was trying to get across. Wild. So, like, there were, when we broke up in college, as you can see from the screenshot from another roommate, my ex really was, like, gave me this whole spiel about he's just wondering what else is out there, and, you know, could he do better, pretty much. And he got stood up a couple times, and I guess now he's come to the conclusion there's no way women would stand him up. I obviously just hacked into his Facebook profile, which is insane for a lot of reasons. So first of all, I don't have all these burner accounts on social media. I barely got time to keep up with what I do have. Even if I did, why would I have these burner accounts in 2018 when I didn't even start social media until 2021? Furthermore, how does me having them mean that I have access to your Facebook? Unless he was trying to say that he matched with the burner accounts, I honestly don't know. It was very hard for me to follow at the time. Could I grab the recording from my attorney and re-listen to it? Yes, I just haven't, because I didn't make it a priority to go get that recording when I decided I wasn't going to post this part, like this recording, so I just haven't made it a priority. But also, how does me having access to any Facebook account impact his dating matches on other apps? And I know someone's gonna say, well, what about Facebook dating? Facebook dating, I checked. Facebook dating didn't exist until 2019. And this was in 2018. Long story short, this part was very confusing for me to follow. My own attorney was having trouble following what exactly he was. Well, obviously he was trying to say, I'm dangerous and he feels unsafe in some kind of capacity, and I'm a criminal mastermind, is, I guess. But it was very hard for everyone in the room to follow pretty exactly like what stories he was trying to portray. It was weird. So pretty much, they then went on with closing arguments, and my ex's attorney's closing argument was pretty much, see, she can't be trusted, and if you don't silence her and give this DVPO to my client, she's just going to humiliate him online, and that's why she needs protection, because his safety is in danger, because she's going to humiliate him and ruin his life. And then my attorney's closing argument was, he sat up there at the stand for an hour and said a lot of things that were not, I didn't abuse this woman, that were not, I didn't harass this woman, that were like, didn't say that one time. Not a single time the entire 2 days of court did my ex say, I didn't abuse her. He actually said the contrary. The only time he mentioned those things were when he mentioned, oh, well, I thought we were playing. I thought we were being flirty. I probably said some mean things to her, but like other people said things just as bad that were anti-Semitic. So like, why am I held accountable? Like, that's it. That's the only time those things were addressed. He also said that he gave up his baseball career. My guy, you weren't good enough to play. Like, you weren't playing. I can count on my fingers how many times at the end of college. I can probably count on one hand how many times at the end of college, how many games you played in. You weren't good enough to go pro. You just weren't. Not only that, but you ended up having labrum issues and you said you didn't want the surgery. Like, lots of weird stuff that like had nothing to do with domestic violence, had nothing to do with any of the accusation. Like, all of his accusations, he didn't even address most of anything that he put in his official original document. You know what he did do though? Sorry, you know what he did do? He had one piece of evidence that he wanted to submit to the court on day 2. One. The day that I went to go get my bar stools, remember when I said then he pulled out his phone and he started recording? He played that. It was the exact same video that I showed you guys, except it started a couple seconds afterwards. And my attorney was shocked that they played that. And my attorney asked him when it was his turn, what is the point of this? Like, she's saying, leave me alone. Talk to the attorneys. Don't speak to me. Why did you play this? And he's, what do you mean? I'm so calm and nice and she's yelling at me. She even cussed at me. Guys, you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't understand. Okay, there was a moment that he was playing this video in court where I had like an overwhelming sense of clarity. I wish you guys could have seen his face when he played that video on the stand, because he had the like, oh yeah, I got her red-handed, like the you got caught, Rebecca, because you're on a dating app almost however many months after we signed a separation agreement. It was that kind of vibe. He looked like internally he was doing the mic drop moment when I cussed at him in the video. Because I cussed at him to get away from me and to leave me alone. And I just remember vividly thinking, oh my God, you're an idiot. Wow, you are that dumb. You think that because I'm aggressively and passionately telling you to go away and leave me alone, that makes me the problem. When you are harassing me and you really think? I just remember sitting there like the secondhand embarrassment that I felt in that moment for him, but also the pity that he really believed that. Crazy feeling. Crazy feeling. Anyways, those were the closing arguments. Oh my God. It was, I mean, obviously the judge was like, my guy, get out of here. Like, I was very happy with how that turned out. Very happy, very validating experience. I will never forget when my attorney said, like, you didn't even say you didn't do any of those things. I remember hearing him like whisper, complain to his attorney, like, did I really need to say I didn't do those things? Like, clueless. My attorney was like, hey, I would like to take you and your family and put you guys in this room to allow him to leave. Because again, just like at mediation, it's customary to not go at the same time. So we put us in another room, and I guess they didn't know that we were in there. They went to their own room. They didn't know that we were in the room right next door with the door open. And I could just hear my ex's dad say, okay, well, now what? Now what do we do? And I could hear my ex, well, so we just let her post her content and we sue her. Like, it sounded like he was doing the arm things, like the little muscly arm things. And he does that sometimes when he's amped up. So, like, I genuinely believe with my whole heart and being and soul. I didn't see him. I believe he did that. It is a headcanon that I will never let go of. And that's why these videos will stay up forever, because it is all true. And it can all be backed up by evidence. But I wanted to say thank you guys for allowing me to tell my story. Hopefully this is the last part. Hopefully nothing else happens. Like it's February and we're still waiting on documents to be signed and still waiting on things to move along. But the hard stuff's over. I believe at this point it's just paperwork. That's for the divorce attorneys to handle. But you guys don't know how validating it is to see the number of people, whether in the comments, whether in DMs, emails, whatever, letting me know that they learned so much from my story, whether it be realizing they're in a bad spot, whether it be recognizing red flags in their lives, whether it be knowing how to support or understand or empathize with someone in their life that is dealing with something that I am. It's so validating and it makes me so happy because that's all I really wanted with this stuff, is to feel like I was helping someone, and maybe saving someone from what I experienced. So thank you for allowing me to do that. I know that lots of people are here for different reasons, whether it be to learn, to feel a connection because they're going through it. Some people are just here for the drama. Everyone's here for different reasons, but I just thank you for allowing me to tell my story. There were some repeating questions that stuck out to me specifically that I wanted to address. One being, why did I end up with him in the first place? I was 17 when I met my ex. To me, he was this older guy. He was so cool, said I was mature. Like, he made me feel like I was special because he picked me. Like, I was very young. I had only had one serious boyfriend beforehand who also cheated on me. So, like, comparably, it seemed great. I was young. I didn't have a lot of dating experience. I didn't know what was and wasn't okay. I didn't have a lot of things to compare it to. And I think, when you are 17 and you get out of a situation that for you is traumatic, because like getting cheated on after a year and a half, however long we were together, that was with my high school boyfriend, like a lot of things seems a lot better than that, I just got used to assuming, oh, so this is what a real adult relationship is supposed to be like, even though it wasn't. And I didn't even really go into how a lot of the crazy things I experienced in my relationship that I didn't realize for many, many years weren't okay. I mean, I have no idea if it started out with lies or not. I won't ever know, I guess. But it didn't start out with the verbal abuse, and it doesn't start out with the physical abuse. Like, those things gradually come in over time. By the time they did, I was at a point where I guess I was made to believe that it was normal behavior. And well, I'm not breaking a bone. I'm not sending you to the hospital. So it's not that. Like, that's what physical abuse is. That's what sexual abuse is. Like, it doesn't have to be that severe. Like, all abuse is severe, but it doesn't have to be the most extreme case of abuse for it to be abuse. And I think that's something that trips a lot of people up, and something that I even had to learn and understand and come to terms with. I've gotten a lot of, why did I let it go on for so long? In reality, once I came to the conclusion these things weren't okay, I know in reality, like I let it go on for way too long, but at the time it didn't feel like that. When you're in this spiraling hole mentally, time is like not a concept. Like, for it was months and months and months, but for me, it didn't feel like that. Even though I knew things were wrong and things weren't okay and I made the decision to leave, I still had this image in my head of this person who I shared my life with for 10 years of like, it's not intentional, it's just not for me. He's not trying to do these bad things. He's not trying to be malicious. Like, even though I subconsciously was coming to terms with reality, I consciously was having trouble letting go of the previous image of him in my head. And I kept telling myself, well, he's really a good person. Well, he's really, he doesn't have bad intentions. And it took time for me to come to terms with that, is really what it was. 10 years is a long time to create an image for a person in your head, and it doesn't just go away immediately. And I think that's what people don't understand. Like, if you look at statistics when it comes to people leaving abusive relationships, a really unfortunate high percentage of them go back because they have this image, like, even they have these moments of clarity of, this isn't okay, this isn't acceptable, but this image that they created for this person that they love so much, like, it's there, it doesn't just vanish. You need to experience things. You need to work through, and like, you can either experience through like therapy, you can experience through, going through things. Like everyone's different. Everyone's different. Everyone's experience is different. So I'm not going to say, oh, this is how you get that clarity. But it's not that simple. One of the biggest things that I've learned through this process is like, I've always known that I was a people pleaser. I've always known I shouldn't be as much of a people pleaser, but I think this situation is really what I really started putting work towards. Okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's only getting me in trouble, whether it be old projects or old friends or old relationships. I need to stop being a people pleaser because it is attracting the wrong kinds of people and it is getting me in situations that are just unfortunate. And you guys have even told me I'm being too nice. I'm being too much of a people pleaser. I need to not do that. I need to not do that. And then at the same time, just a few weeks ago, I remember seeing comments on some of my Am I the Bad Apple videos of like, wow, this week is like really kind of harsh. Like, this isn't like you, and like people upset. And I was concerned. So I went back and I watched these videos, and a lot of, like, one example was a woman who made the conscious decision to have a child in an ongoing relationship with a alcoholic. And I just remember I was very straight up and I was very blunt about that's irresponsible. Like, you are enabling this and you need to think about your kids when you do it. And people were very shocked and surprised at, well, where's the compassion? Well, where's the empathy? You can have compassion and empathy for a person and understand how difficult their situation is. But at the end of the day, saying, well, it's fine. Well, it's not a problem. That's the people-pleasing thing. That's the thing that you guys told me to stop doing. That's the thing that got me in trouble. Like, being compassionate and being empathetic to someone is not enabling bad choices. It's not enabling red flags. It's being realistic about it and not saying you're a bad person. It's seeing the kind of person the person can be and helping them get to what their potential is. And I feel like I love being nice to people, and I think empathy is so important, and I think compassion is so important, but I am kind of concerned with the number of people who are upset and concerned at me not coddling very dangerous behavior. And it's fascinating to me. It's like one of those things where you like make boundaries for yourself, and the people who are benefiting from that are upset you have the boundaries. And I know it's not the same, but like, you know what I mean? That's what kind of like what it felt like, you know? No, we don't want to coddle these bad, like these things impact other people. You don't coddle that. You can be compassionate about it. You can be empathetic about it, but you don't coddle that. That's how you get people making excuses for those kinds of behaviors and it prolonging and impacting more people. And you don't do that. So it's been very interesting. Still, even to this day, I still feel like I'm processing things. I feel like every now and then I'll think about a something I went through 3 years ago with this relationship. And I'm like, I didn't even realize XYZ. And I feel like I'm finding something new to process and kind of like work through mentally every other week. But we'll get there. And it's a process for me. And if you're someone going through something similar, it will be a process for you. And all there is left to do now is rebuild. And that is, getting emotional. That is what I will do. And if you are someone in this situation, that is what you will do, because we are strong and we got out and we survived. And it's not fair that we have to, but we will, because we're strong and we can do it. And that's all that's left to do, is to get back up, wipe the dust off our shoulders and rebuild. And so, hopefully, you all will be excited to rebuild with me and hang around and see the adventures of life and where that takes me next. And, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and again, allowing me to tell this story. And I hope to see you next week at some point. Who knows? Hi, my lovelies.